Insurance company buy you because we depend on a good product, and Ford has been good to us in the past. We put a lot of miles on our vehicles, and they hold up for us, Joe.
And that was a long time ago, Mark, but you're still buying Ford trucks from Alexander Ford.
We sure do, and we get the same great service even today at Alexander Ford.
Alexander Ford. We were here for you then, here for you now, and long into the future. A difference you can count on.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Fishgistics. Cameron Steele here, along with my good buddy, Austin Fish Farner. We are bringing you the preview episode of Fishgistics for the 54th running of the Score Baja 1000. If you can believe it, it's time for a peninsula run. It's been a number of years, since 2017, since we've done this. We're going to talk a lot about safety, communications, pits. We're going to discuss the overall course with Jose G from Score and Reese Millen a little bit later. Right now, we're going to start off with a couple icons in our industry. First of all, I'd like to introduce Nate from Jackson Motorsports Group, and of course, representing BFGoodrich and the assets when it comes to marking the course, laying out the course, doing GPS, pit books, and they also provide pit support for BFGoodrich racers. Nate Hunt, sorry, I didn't say your last name. My apologies, my friend. Welcome to Fishgistics today, my friend.
Hey, Cam, how are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. And of course, the ever iconic weatherman, and I know that we've talked about this over the years. This is Scott Steinberger. His father, Bob, the original weatherman, has passed on. One of the greatest legends and legacies in our sport. And Scott has been so gracious to grace us with his presence as the weatherman now. And Scott, I know you'd much rather be racing, but it is definitely something that warms my heart and makes me feel like I have a backstop all the way around when a weatherman is on the channel and doing the relays. So thank you, Scott, for everything that you do.
Yep, like keeping people safe. Proud of my dad. You guys can still call me Weather Boy too. I go by that as well.
I'm just skipping it straight to weatherman. I hope that doesn't feel disrespectful. We've talked about it in the past, but you are the weatherman. You are your dad's son. Maybe I'll call you Weather Boy once in a while. Maybe when we hit the pavement at like race mile 12:20, I'll give you a ping out on the radio just to let you know we're coming in hot for that finish, so you can warn everybody that the first truck's coming in. Does that sound too cocky? Fish. It's been awesome. I know there's been a lot of rev up. People have been hitting you up, pinging you, talking about this. The Baja 1000 is the longest continuous off-road race in the world. This happens to be the fourth longest Baja 1000 ever, right at about 1,227 miles if you want to make sure you get to the finish line. Nate, you did the mileage. What is the exact official mileage?
I believe the exact official mileage is 1,227.35 miles.
Okay, 0.35. So It's key. You want to make every single mile. For me, when I pre-run, I always drive all the way to the finish line because I don't stop when I get on the pavement and load up and leave and go back north. I always drive to the finish line because I want to make sure I get my practice in getting to the finish line, and I never want to be thought that I'm short a couple miles, right? I want to make sure I get all the way in there. This is a huge undertaking for everybody that takes it on. My first message I would like to share is that if you think it's a bad idea, it definitely is. Hey, Grace. Sorry, my daughter is in the background. Please forgive me. I'll try to get this sorted out. But if you think it's a bad idea, it probably is. Think not just for yourself, but for your teammates. Think for the other people that are on the highway. Think that if you think it's going to take 2 hours, make sure you give it 4 hours. It's just planning is the number one thing here. And right now in this segment, we're going to talk a little bit about the BFGoodrich pits they offer. And we're also going to talk about the weatherman service. And I think that, first of all, I think we should talk a little bit about the course, even though we're going to do the course preview later. Nate, it's a big course. There's a lot to cover. And just from you, can you give us the highlights of where we can find those BFG pits and what BFG is offering and to who, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, sure. So, of course, we're providing pit support free of charge for anyone that is racing on BFGoodrich tires. And we'll have 8 pits at this race, and all of the pits are within 160 miles of each other. We try not to go past 160 miles for the vehicles who can't go further than that on their tank of fuel. So all our pits are within that range. A lot of them are a lot less than that. The way it works out for access, you'll be able to get the pit vehicles to the pit locations where we're set up. So we're going to be at the end of the Vineyard Road, or the crossover road, whatever you want to call that. That's about race mile 155, and then we'll be down in the Arenoso area, actually right when it pops out to the highway now. That was one race course change from the original course. So that is popping out there on the highway now. So we'll be there, which is race mile 303. And we'll be down at El Crucero, race mile 444, El Arco, which is 597-ish. Then we'll be at San Ignacio, right there next to Rice and Beans, at the top of the Rice and Beans area there on the highway. And that's race mile 706. And pit 6 is going to be down in La Prisma area, which is usually one of our most popular pits because that's one of the harder ones for chase teams to be able to get to. So we'll be out there. And then down in Insurgentes area. And then our last pit will be down in Santa Rita. So we got it covered. We also have our BFG pit relays will be out there. Our BFG relay will be out there. We're covering the whole peninsula. Sure, Scott's going to talk about this a little bit more when he starts talking about the weatherman coverage. But we've been talking with each other, and I think we got something for all the racers at the end of the day, especially when it comes to safety. So the pit program, like I said, is for any racer racing on BFGoodrich tires. We're out there to support whatever they need. We have at every pit, we have an EMT. We have welders, fabricators, mechanics, anything short of probably changing the transmission or a motor or something like that. We can probably jerry rig it up to be able to get you to the finish line or at least to the next pit. That's our goal. So we'll be out there also with, we have dump cans. You can order your fuel through your fuel companies. They'll drop it off at BFG pits. We have guys out there. We have pit mats at every pit. And I know Cameron's going to talk about safety. But one thing that we definitely want to do is keep our guys safe, keep the racers safe. So all of our pits are outfitted with the proper safety. With Mastercraft helps us out with the fire suits. Everyone fueling has those. The headgear, the fuel cans we'll have ready for the fuel. We have fuel mats that we lay out, so any fuel that's spilled goes on a mat, not right onto the ground. One thing we as BFGoodrich are very sensitive to and are always in conversations about how to make the sport sustainable in the current world that we live in, and taking care of the race course, the earth, what we're racing on and how we can do that the best possible. One of those ways is with the fuel mats. We encourage everybody to have those. Yeah, that's what we're there for. Hopefully it help each race team that pits with us get to the finish line.
Hey, Nate, you're talking about the pits. What is one of the biggest safety concerns, or one of the things that your pit captains come back and tell you that they see that would help make the pit safer, not just at BFG pits, but in general? One thing for me that I always try to do is when I come into the pit, obviously I try not to come in hot because there's no need for that. This is a long race. You guys need to relax and remember that your pit crew's there to do the best job possible. Come in nice and calm and leave nice and calm. And one thing I do is after I'm waved out, I do just a slight lurch or a slight move, like an inch. Then I pause for a couple seconds. Just that way, everybody knows the truck's about to move. And if someone happens to be close, they can back away from it. That's one thing I always try to do. I know it's not always a perfect situation, but is there anything that the pit captains have come back to you and said, hey, I wish people would do this, or hey, this guy did that? Anything that strikes you or comes to mind?
Yeah, sure. Coming in off the gas is key. I think you got to remember Cameron, for sure. There's a lot of spectators out there. And when a trophy truck, especially, or any race vehicle slows down, spectators are automatically gravitate to that area because they want to watch and they want to get as close as possible. So even before you get into our pit area location, which we have secured off, there's going to be spectators when they hear a truck coming or slowing down that you need to be aware of, and they may be coming out to get as close to it as possible. So yeah, coming in slow, leaving slow, because once you start spinning those tires, you could be kicking up rocks, anything that could hit some of our guys. And so leaving at a I don't know what the right word, a proper pace, going out of the pit, not roosting the pit crews, is definitely probably the two things that I hear. Don't be in such a hurry to leave the pit. You're probably not going to lose the race right there. I know, especially if another truck's coming, you want to get out and get in front of that car. But ultimately, the people that are there in the pit area and the spectators surrounding, we want to make sure you have a clear path to the racetrack to get back out there.
Sorry, copy that, Nate. All good advice. Let's shift gears over to Weatherman. Scott, I know that you guys have put in decades of support for the off-road races. You've seen and heard, unfortunately, terrible things on the radio and had to facilitate. Let's first talk about what the Weatherman is going to consist of this year. Explain it to people and also explain to where they should go to be able to read up on this and understand a little bit more clearly. But first of all, let's hear what the Weatherman program is for this race.
Okay, so every few years we have a peninsula run that throws a curveball at the Baja 1000. Racers love to go all the way down, but it creates a whole lot more challenges as far as pitting and getting everything south. So normally we've flown an aircraft in the past, peninsula runs, and in the last few aircraft relays we've had challenges, not with just keeping the plane up at night, but keeping the airports open and lapses of time when we're fueling. And we've decided with the beefed up constellations and satellite communications that satellite communications is a better choice for this year's point-to-point race, which means that the Weatherman is going to cover the first third of the race up to Coco's Corner, same way as I always do, top of Diablo or San Pedro Matir. Pretty much once you hit Coco's Corner, you're going out of my range. You are going to have another way to get in touch with me, and that's going to be satellite communications. That means that you need to either rent, purchase, or own satellite communications. Satellite Phone Store and Satmoto has set up some special deals. I know one of them for $89, you can have a sat phone with 60 minutes, and there's no reason not to have a sat phone with you. If you can't afford a $100 sat phone for the Baja 1000, you shouldn't be going down. The other thing to realize is that the safest place, in my opinion, at the Baja 1000 is in a race car. You have a roll cage around you and you're protected. The problem is our chase vehicles don't have the same protection. and we're on highways with more vehicles and we're trying to get to the next pit. And if you don't plan properly, it's very hard to keep up with the race. Not just on the trophy truck team, and any team. There can be accidents, there can be road work, there can be all sorts of things that slow us down. And you have to be prepared that at a certain point, you're going to have to let your driver down and not make it there. You cannot risk yourself to get to the next pit. I've been involved where people have lost family members, fathers, someone who was trying to sleep above to get into the car farther up down the course. And, you know, Bob Bauer has this, "What about you?" It's really something to take to heart and something to read before the Baja 1000. I remember when I was younger and I raced, I'd be in the BFG pit meeting and he'd say, "Look at the guy next to you." And he would, to bring it real, he'd say, "Someone in this room is not coming home." And, you know, we all love to race and we all love horsepower, but it's not worth losing a friend or family member. So if you're the one guy that's planning to chase your buddy from Ensenada to La Paz and you have no help, either join BFG and buy some BFG tires today or stay home. You're not doing anybody favors. Main difference is going to be with the Weatherman, though, is instead of calling me on the 151-625 Weatherman channel, we're moving over to a phone number for this race. You'll find it on the PCI Race Radio website. That phone number is 562-279-0700. For emergencies, you're going to want to contact that number. If you're texting for we appreciate that you text for non-emergency or status. So if you guys want status on a race car, someone at home is looking for someone, if you could text status, PCI Race Radios will have our phone system online. We'll have it voice over IP with Score Ops and Ensenada and La Paz with me, Weatherman on the mountain. We'll have Spanish speaking, and we're going to route the calls through a voice over IP system. If for some reason that you are outside of satellite phone service, you don't have cell phone service, you have no way to dial into the Weatherman, our friends Nate here at BFG team have agreed to allow the BFG relay to be called in for emergency only. That is a very big deal for me because, you know, I think they have a very big advantage with their program, their pits, their just how prepared they are for this race. Them opening that up to everybody for safety is a big deal, and good job, guys. With that said, don't call and ask them for status on your car. Unless you're BFG, they're not going to give it to you. And, you know, we appreciate what you guys are doing for us. It's a really big deal. There's also, make sure before you go down with your satellite phone device that you understand how to dial. Have the number in the bag with the phone, how to get to the Weatherman. The Weatherman's your lifeline. It's who's going to get you an ambulance. It's who's going to get you a helicopter if it's doing daylight hours. It's who's going to get you into Score Ops to get you to the person you need. So make sure you have that. And I do recommend that, you know, not just in the race car. I personally think it should be mandatory that you have satellite communications in the race car. And we kind of do, because the Stella has a text feature where you can push a button for emergency or you can push a button for non-medical emergency, but you can't talk and give the right information out. So you should have a satellite device in your car. At PCI, we sell the Satcom MSAT G2. That's a good device, and you should have telephony service where you can call me on that. The Sat 100 ICOM radios do not have telephony capability. We are setting up a Weatherman talk around channel for the Sat 100 radios. So make sure you talk to your provider or PCI if you can't get a hold of your provider to help get set up on that Weatherman channel. I know both Mike at Satmoto and Eric at the satellite phone store have already got that set up. So you'll be able to have a Weatherman talk group, and I will be able to talk to you directly on the mountain with a SAT PTT. Other than that, guys, we're just asking that you be safe and realize that this is the biggest adventure you're going to take on, and it's total badassery, but think about safety first.
Yeah, I think, like you said, Scott, you know, nowadays, every single chase truck, race truck, you need to have a sat phone in there. just you're going up and down the peninsula where there's huge stretches where there's no service on the racetrack and on the highway. So if there's any incident with the chase truck, anything, you guys need to be able to call someone on a phone. So everybody get a sat phone for this race. It could literally save your life. So for $100, go to satellite phone store, get a sat phone. You're not going to want to go without it for this race. And I think most people probably already have them for now, but if you don't, go get one. That, like I said, it could save your life or someone else's life anywhere down the peninsula on this one.
Other thing.
I'm sorry, go ahead, Scott.
All right. One other thing would be if you are down and you're in good cell phone range, you're in a big city, Loretto, you're somewhere where you have good cell phone service. You can get Weatherman on the PCI website. You can log into Weatherman and you can listen to live stream to hear what's going on as well. We'll try to keep it entertaining. We're going to try to get some updates from some different spots on the track to keep information flowing. But that is another way to listen into the Weatherman and hear what's going on when you're in a dead area. And be safe.
Safety is always job one. Did you have something you wanted to add, Nate?
I was
Sorry.
gonna say the other way to keep up with what's going on is checking Fishgistics every hour.
There you go. I like it. On the top of the hour, every hour, if you got phone service, tune in.
I'll try to go live for you somewhere on the peninsula before I get in the car. Not saying where I'm getting in, but definitely try to go live with you if I can. I don't know if there's cell service where I'm getting in.
Yeah,
but,
this race, there's a lot of downtime, and there's a lot of people have 2-3 drivers. So if any of you guys watching this, if you guys have cell service and you want to jump on, let me know, and you guys can jump on with me. It'll be fun. We'll get some live reports, from anywhere on the course.
I think the number one mistake that people make is relevant to timing and setting up their pit strategy and having crews going down the highway. Scotty and Nate, I think you both nailed it. One truck trying to support someone down the peninsula is a very dangerous thing. And I definitely strongly discourage people from trying to haul ass on the highway, trying to get from place to place. You need to have a better plan than that. There's other pit services out there as well that you can buy if you're not on BFGoodrich, if you need help in a couple spots or whatever. But it's not worth risking people's lives. It's not worth risking your own life to try to get to a pit. It's just a freaking race, man. It's not that big a deal. And the rest of the world generally doesn't race like us. Most racing organizations, in fact, I can't think of a racing organization that races all night long to get to the finish line. And we'll be racing more at night than we will in the daytime for the trophy trucks. Everybody else has their own situation, but you got to remember there's no aircraft at night. Generally speaking, there's no rescue from a helicopter. You got to rely on land services. And these are things that people just really have to be in tune with. And unfortunately, I think a lot of the drivers and people that do go down there are in tune with this, but for some reason, don't share this with their team. You need to send an email to your whole team. You need to text your whole team. You need to talk to your whole team. At your pit meeting, you need to talk about it. Safety cannot be talked about enough. Scotty, what other things have you seen that you can tell people that they shouldn't be doing? What are some of your, what's your top 5 things or top 3 things that just are dumb or that people may not think about? I mean, have a fire extinguisher. Don't drive with your race lights on the highway. Don't have your microphone on. Yeah, don't sit on your microphone.
Yeah, there's lots of different things. One of the things that gets frustrating and what you talked about, Cam, is this is not a closed course, and people cannot expect SCORE to be able to cover every 1,200 miles of this course. And frustrating as me as a weatherman, I'll get a call like, hey, people are pulling out funny on the highway out of this pit area, and it's very dangerous. And you need to get a SCORE crew down here to flag. And I'm like telling this person, hey, if you see something dangerous, you just became a volunteer. You need to help and let people know what's the danger. And I get in arguments with guys. It's not my job. And I'm like, well, it's going to take SCORE. If they could possibly get there, it's going to take them an hour to get there. If you see something that's safe and undangerous, either put up some cones, some flares or something, or try to help. And, this isn't the NASCAR race where they set up every turn or the IndyCar race where they set up every turn. This is the Baja 1000. This is a wide open desert, and there's going to be things that are going on that are outside of everybody's control. There's going to be the farmer that didn't get the memo, and he's going to be driving backwards on the course towards bikes or trophy trucks. And that's part of this race. And you got to be ready for that. And you can't say, oh man, I was leading the Baja 1000, but I came over this rise and hit a farmer and my race was over. You're a wingnut because you shouldn't have been flying like that, in a course like this, because you got to drive every turn like there's someone coming at you. And
For sure, every road goes somewhere.
yes. And putting your head in the sand and saying it's someone else's responsibility for your safety is a good way to get yourself killed.
Yeah, and if I can jump in on that too, Cam, real quick, is some of the most dangerous time is right now, which is the pre-running time, because there are a lot of farmers and a lot of people out there on those trails and on the race course, if you will, that are just trying to get to their ranch or get to their farm, get to their house. Every corner you come around, especially pre-running, you better expect there to be a car on the other side of that turn.
I think that's a great point, Nate. We were just down there pre-running over 4 days, saw a ton of traffic on the race courses. And don't think just because it's remote, like I said, a remote road goes to someplace, someone's ranch, someone's livestock, some kind of access they're using. Just remember that you're not alone out there and that you need to be smart about it. And I really, the four of us here can't preach safety enough. Just be smart, be safe. And Nate, we're not going to have you on, I don't think, at the end of the show when we're previewing the race course. Is there anything course-wise that stands out to you of real interest that you'd like to share with people? Maybe a spot that's a little sketchy, a spot that strikes you, something that's new, something different. Any spot that jumps out, or a couple spots?
Well, you guys have Jose G coming on. He's going to be the expert on all that. There are some really cool spots out there. I think one of the neatest is the new summit section that we're going down, that Cameron's going to be mad because we're taking his bike trail away and probably burning a big old swath down the mountain. But that's definitely cool. It's been really neat the last few years with the new course that they've been able to find and get permission to go do. It's always neat to have something new and fun. All I got to say, Cameron, all you other racers, whoever has a good truck in the last 200 miles is probably going to win the race. So you're going to need to save some of your truck for that last couple hundred miles.
Don't give away my race strategy, please.
Sorry. But coming down to La Paz, I mean, you're going to, you know what that's like. You've been doing it for years and years, but there's just, I can't really pick out a couple things other than that new summit area, just because I love it all. Every section of the Baja Peninsula is awesome. And
how narrow was that spot in the Raptor when you went through there? Just out of curiosity, because that's really the spot that's been keeping most people off this thing.
Yeah. I was sucking it in myself. It didn't make the truck any skinnier, but I was trying to make myself skinnier to get around it. Yeah, that's super sketchy. It's you need to be careful going down that hill, and then once you get to the wash, you can have fun picking through the rocks. I'm sure you guys will blaze a nice trail through there pre-running, but I was basically rock crawling the whole way out to the highway. But yeah, super fun stuff. I love seeing the new stuff. Sorry for taking a motorcycle trail, but I'm sure other ones will find eventually.
It's all good. Thank you, Nate. We appreciate it. Before we sign off this segment, Scotty, any segment that really pops out in your mind? I know there's a spot outside of LA Bay that you think about often.
Yeah. I do think about that sometimes. Hey, so what I think about in the Baja 1000 on the Peninsula run is that Constitution, when the marine layer runs in, it carries the dust, and you go from people being 5 to 10 minutes apart to being an hour apart at the finish line. And a key factor is pay attention to that marine layer, because if it starts rolling in, it's going to spread the race out at the end, and the cars are going to be far apart.
We just hope to be the first car to Santo Domingo, right? That makes it much easier. Last time on the 2017 race, we were the fourth car to Santo Domingo, and we caught the fog about 8 miles before the cars that got there before us. So it definitely did not help the situation. So
these guys on the next segment are going to be in that for sure.
Yeah, there's
it's pure. It's you know, I mean, I remember running race courses by GPS before it gets so bad. So
Yeah.
Yeah, well, right on. We thank you, Nate Hunt from Jackson Motorsports, BF Goodrich, and Scott Steinberger, the weatherman from PCI Race Radios, coming to you from Laser Nut. I can see there in the background, you're at the Laser Nut office. You know, thank you guys for your expertise. And everybody should go to the PCI website and understand what the safety situation is and how to manage it. And go to Satmoto. That's where we get our stuff, or the other stores that are available. Get
satellite
yourself.
phone store. Yeah.
What was it called?
Satellite phone store.
Satellite phone store.
I'll
Yeah.
post a link up after this also with the direct thing to the special for everybody to get.
See, Fish is going to help everybody out. You guys just stick with Fishgistics. He's got you covered. But check it out. Make sure you know what to do. Thank you guys for your expertise. Thank you for your passion for the sport and the love you put into it to make it possible for all of us donkeys to go out there and race the peninsula. We really appreciate it. We're going to move on to the second segment, Fish. Thank you.
All right,
Nate.
I'll bring them in.
Thanks, guys. Good
See you
job.
guys.
That's a very informative segment right there with Scott and Nate, two guys that have spent quite a bit of time on the peninsula. You know, Scotty has been racing and being a part of the Baja Peninsula since he was a super youngster, and he has a huge wealth of information. Again, the message for everybody has got to be safety. And I think that when you start working out your plan and you start trying to organize what you're doing, you know, really try to ask someone that knows. Don't guess, don't assume. Try to ask someone that knows. If you guys want to send questions to Fishgistics, you can do that. We'll try to answer them. You can also send messages to Desert Assassins if you like. And right now we're going to move on to this next segment. I see my good buddy Dave Cole from King of the Hammers as joining us. He is a madman, a racing enthusiast to say the very least. And I heard, Dave, that you're going to try to solo the Baja 1000. Is that a true statement?
That's true, but I'm not the only one. You got a couple other guys here that are the same way.
I totally understand that, but since I knew you, I wanted to pick on you first. But
yeah, that's the plan, man. That's what we're gonna do.
Let's talk about it a little bit. Who's in charge of this circus? Let's hear what the plan actually is.
I'll give David Clay by absolutely all rights is our circus leader.
Here's David right here. David Clay, welcome to Fishgistics. Jared, also welcome. We're talking about this event within an event, I think it is. If you can explain to us the name and what you're planning on doing here in this 10 minutes of Fishgistics commentary.
Yeah, the short of it is that I've been a wannabe my entire life. I've been a part of the sport. I've navigated on a ton of teams. I've had the opportunity to drive some small sections down in Mexico on other people's teams. And I just thought, you know, it would be really cool to do my own race program. And if I'm going to do a car, I might as well do something that's just never really been done before. Go big or go home. And so the whole idea was to take a single seat Polaris RS1 and go Ironman the thing, do every single mile. And then I thought it was a good idea to kind of open it up to the world to say, hey, who wants to do this? And there's 6 of us now.
You guys are nuts. I don't know why you want to take a golf cart, literally a single seat golf cart, and go down the whole Baja Peninsula by yourself. You guys are crazy.
I'm very curious. Dave, have you spent much time inside the race vehicle or the vehicle you're going to be racing?
I have 150 miles in it. We did we wanted to do a 500-mile durability test, but it turned into a much more of a tuning session. We spent a lot more time on clutching and shock tuning than we originally planned. But yeah, I didn't do what Dave and I think Jared are doing. They're racing stock ones. I, of course, didn't.
Of course.
I went to Travis Zollinger. We cut the chassis in half, stretched it 16 inches, put on Turbo S wide arm kit on it, and clutched it pretty good. So it's a 75-mile-an-hour car and 2-foot whoops with like one finger on the wheel.
That sounds awesome, actually. What is your guesstimate for average mile per hour, Dave?
I didn't look at my mile per hour. I'm counting 40 hours. So yeah, right around that 37 mile an hour average speed.
Gotcha. Jared, welcome. Are you one of the competitors also in this madness?
Yeah, I sure am.
What's your desert racing experience, and have you had any time in the vehicle getting ready for the race?
So this is actually my first year desert race, and I just kind of jumped in. I got the idea from David Clay, and one of his buddies, the Wells, built the car for me. And I was gonna build a car pretty stock, similar to David's. We end up just doing, or Travis at Risk Racing started doing more and more and more to it. I raced it at Vegas to Reno, and got a feel for the car there. And then I also just raced at UTV Worlds with it. And yeah, we're just kind of going for it. It's always been on the bucket list, but never been very realistic. But I saw this opportunity with the guys here, and we're just going to go for it.
Are you guys, there's a bunch of you guys racing. Are you guys all pitting together or working together or anything, or is everyone kind of on their own, or how's that going, David, or whoever?
Yeah, the whole idea is that we are kind of helping each other out. Like we've all rented a house in Ensenada. We have this big, beautiful house, lots of parking, lots of places. So these guys that aren't really familiar with Mexico, they have a place to go. They're not having to figure out security and everything else on their own. So yeah, we're all going to be working with that. And then, everything changes once the race starts. The plan is that we somewhat try to stay together in a group, or at least the four of us that are running in pro stock, at least until we get over to the Colonette side. And then we might start to gap each other a little bit, but just to try not to have to spread our chase trucks out too far.
Copy that. So kind of working together. I don't know. Dave's a racer's racer. I don't think Dave's hanging around waiting for anybody is what I'm guessing.
Yeah, I've helped out as much as I can. I've helped guys get hotel rooms and kind of like the 1,000 on the like cliff notes of how to do it right. We've got a couple static pits set up. So I've got guys actually, thanks to you, Cam, talking to a guy down in San Juanico. So I have a guy down there to put fuel. And then we got Team Indiana's coming out, and they're going to be over at Valley T to get that kind of burnt pit stop where you can't really chase from there once you're there. So they're going to cover the top. I got a guy down south, and then we're all going to break up and do our own thing. I mean, I know I've got my guys. We're going to peel out. We do the best we can.
Right on. Well, I can tell you, after being in the truck and then the chase truck driving for 40 plus hours in 2006, it's not very pleasant. So you guys make sure you guys plan accordingly. I know that, I don't know if all, but I'm sure many of the Ironman bike riders stop and sleep or take a rest. Is that something that you guys are considering doing?
I think that it's my plan's already been pretty much put out there, but I know a buddy named Junior. I think you probably know him too, down there in Vizcaíno.
Yeah,
I've got Junior's shop rented. I've got his hotel rented, and I'm going to get down to Vizcaíno, turn right off at race mile 635 and go to sleep for 5 hours. And when I wake up, I'll have a new car. And I'm not racing the Baja 1000. I'm racing 2 Baja 600s. So
that's a good strategy. Interesting strategy. Yeah.
So,
I don't know that I like you trying to poach my guide, but I hear you.
I'm not poaching your guy, man. I just want my guy to have a friendly face in San Juanico. San Juanico's not filled with friendly faces.
Well, Cameron, you better be way past there by the time he gets there.
Oh, I know. I'm just joking around. I don't mind sharing Junior. Junior is one of our friends on the peninsula, and we've been able to share some trail of missions adventures with him, and he's helped us on a Rip to Cabo and stuff. And I think it's great that Dave is working with him. Actually, Junior's helping organize our pitting in Vizcaíno, so we're pretty stoked to have him on board.
Great,
David? What I see, that's your race car behind you. You of course own racing tracks also, so you're familiar with the logistics and organization. Are you guys going to have a individual or a different tracking system that you guys are using that people can follow along with?
Yeah, so I mean, really since 2014, we've had a program for Mexico racing where we put one of our tractors on a race vehicle. We put one on each of the chase vehicles, and then every 8 minutes it sends an update via satellite with your race mile and speed to all the chase vehicles. So for us, where we have 6 people in our group, we're actually programming it where it'll compile a race mile and speed for all 6, and then it'll send it in one message to all 12 chase trucks. So that's kind of how we're going to be keeping track of everybody that way. And then through our devices, we can do, satellite texting and all that stuff also. So everyone can communicate as well. And I think we'll have like somebody back in the States that's just watching the whole thing. They can see the location of the chase trucks. They're going to have a parts list of what chase truck has what parts. And so if anybody needs anything, they can see who's the closest, and they can kind of direct people on where to go.
Copy that. And Jared, you picked a heck of a race to get your career really going on, the 4th longest Baja 1000 ever. Have you spent much time on the peninsula? And I'm assuming it's we're cruising along. What's your plan?
So I actually haven't spent any time on the peninsula. I was planning on going down to pre-run it for a week or two. Those plans kind of fell through, but I'm be using the BFG pits, and then I'm just gonna have one chase truck that's gonna kind of chase the second half of the race, and utilize these other static pits and these other chase trucks, and hopefully it comes together.
The funny story about that. So real quick, my friend Phil Casey, who I see is watching also, he did the same thing in 2017 with Pistol Pete. He's from New Zealand. He'd never done a desert race. He's like, I'm doing the Baja 1000. I'm doing the whole thing. So he got in a Baja Light, had no idea, didn't do anything, did the whole thing himself. And he made it to the finish. So you can do it. Just good luck. And just remember to take a nap if you need to. Because like Dave said, Dave's actually got a really good strategy. I like it. He can go full speed, take a nap, and then go full speed. Once you get to hour 24, 30, you're getting a little tired. You're not going very fast anymore. So take a nap if you have to.
Absolutely.
And definitely, Jared, don't take chances. Your first time on the peninsula, I'll tell you that, some of the things people don't think about is, the livestock, the animals that are out there. Just be aware. And also, like was said in the first segment, watch for on-road traffic or on race course traffic, not just livestock. We're talking about vehicles, cars, people. Just drive what you can see and have fun and laugh, and don't get caught up in the racing aspect of it all. And speaking of which, we're going to get moving on here shortly. We're going to do a course preview. Before we go, Dave, any final thoughts before we go into before we move on?
No, I appreciate. This thing actually did a lot of good for me, because I decided, Dave talked me into it at King of the Hammers in February, and as such, when we went out, I decided to focus on being healthier. I lost a bunch of weight. I'm looking forward to going after this, and appreciate Fish, you covering this, looking after us, and telling the story in general of the race and the racers. And Cameron, your ambassadorship to the sport as always is all the way to the top, man. So cheers to all of you. Good luck to you, Cameron Racing. Fish, thanks for looking out for us. And Dave and Jared, we'll see you down there.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Dave, you're actually looking really good. I barely recognized you for a minute at the Hall of Fame thing the other day. So good job on losing all that weight.
I agree. You look good, Dave. And I want to say thanks for all your work on King of the Hammers. I've been working feverishly behind the scenes, building our UTV with Mitchell Alsop, and building our Trent EMC car, and working with Cody Wagner on the 4400. And it's been absolutely crazy.
You are drinking all of the Kool-Aid, man.
I'm
all of the Kool-Aid.
So David Clay, thank you for making the time to come talk to us. Any thoughts you have before we check out on this?
Yeah. So one thing is, like, with doing racing tracks in the States, I'm always like preaching till I'm blue in the face for the racers to learn the device. There's great features with it. It's the exact same thing with your Stella unit. The Stella unit, again, I navigate all the time down in Mexico. It's a great device to have. It has your stop alerts. It has your push to passes, all your hazards. Pay attention to that thing and learn it. If you have guys that are going to get in the car, have them go on and watch the Stella video, because it's great information to have. Like, do it for racing tracks when you race in the States. Do it for a Nube Stella when you race down in Mexico. But learn that, because it is super important. So I'll harp on that here as well.
Really,
and then if anybody wants racing track services, you can hit me up afterward. It's very affordable. It's like $100 per chase unit to get those updates. So that's kind of a cool thing. And you know exactly where your vehicle is. If they break down, you're not getting further and further away down Highway 1. So just those two things.
Right on. Thank you, Dave. And Jared, we wish you the best on your first effort on the Baja Peninsula. Like I said, just keep it steady, keep it smart. And we thank you guys for coming in to talk about this challenge you put together. And God bless, be safe. And we're going to move on to our next segment, which is
thank you. Appreciate it.
Our 54th annual Baja 1000 course preview segment. We'll be spending at least an hour on this, I'm guessing. We'll be bringing in one of my racing partners, Reese Millen, legendary when it comes to Pikes Peak, drifting, rally. He's done a ton of different things. He's got tons of championships, and he's a heck of a nice guy, but also funny, originating from the land of New Zealand, but now living here in the United States. In fact, Reese and I live less than a mile apart from each other, if you guys can believe that. There is the silly Kiwi right there. Well, howdy, Reese. Welcome to Fishgistics, my friend.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Stoked to have you on board. We're just waiting for Jose G to come in, or are you trying to get him in the back?
Yeah, he's on his way back to the office right now, so he might be a couple minutes. So we might as well just go ahead and start, and then he'll pop in as soon as he gets back to the office, he said.
Okay, cool. Well, one of the things, Reese, after seeing I'm going to throw this out there. Everybody, this is all opinion based. Everything we've been talking about, we're trying to give you as much information as we can, but remember, you got to make your own decisions, got to do your own research. And if this is part of it, great, but make sure you make your own decisions. Disclaimer, we did not rate pre-run to race mile 160. We started at Colonet and got on the race course there. I believe that Reese saw every mile from there on out. I skipped the LA Bay section because I had a problem with my pre-runner and I was doing some filming. We're going to be launching through BFGoodrich and Monster. We are doing our Baja 1000 pre-run video that you guys will be able to check in. Reese was a part of that, as was Bobby Picoy. Reese, I wanted to ask you, you've raced the Baja 1000 before. What's your takeaway on this course with the length and the gravity of this? Because that's one of the things we're trying to preach to everybody that's been watching today, that there is just a lot of miles to be covered.
Yeah, for sure. This will be my fifth Peninsula run, and it's great to be doing another one. The challenges definitely come in attrition for the total distance. For those that are unfamiliar, this is another 400 miles on a standard loop race. For those that have done it, they know that just when you think you're done, there's another 40 miles of gnarly coming up, and we experienced that. We went through that, some new trails with Fred's Tractor Trail and so forth. It was it's going to be pretty intense.
So Fish, do you want to get started without Jose G and start talking about the course? If he has any particular notes on the first 160, we can take a quick overlook of it. But as I said, I did not pre-run that at the Baja 400. Did you pre-run that first segment, Reese, at the Baja 400?
No, I did not. That was not my section, so I sat it out as well.
Oh yeah, we were racing together. We both raced the second part. What a donkey I am for asking such a stupid question.
That's all right. You finished in the daylight. I finished at night.
So the first thing to note is that some of this is similar to the Baja 400, as I understand it. Again, this is all opinion based, and I haven't seen this part, but pre-running looks like it will start in Ojos Negros. You won't be able to pre-run the very start of the race until later in the week. As I said, Reese and I have already been down pre-running, and the course is marked. This section goes through Ojos Negros, runs down through a road traditionally known as Tres Hermanos. There has been quite a bit, unfortunately, accidents on that road. There's a lot of farm traffic, especially in that Ojos area. So you guys, please be very careful. That's going to work you back down towards the area of El Alamo and get you going to the east, which is going to get you out to the highway section here. It looks like it's going to come out at about race mile 68. Is this actually at K77, Fish?
I believe so.
And then
that would be a good question for Jose G.
Yeah, so I haven't pre-ran this part, so go ahead and keep on going down. It looks like we've got
You're actually on the highway for a larger section than normal there, so it's not quite the same as normal through there.
Yeah, they eliminated some of the loops that they've done there. Again, we're racing all the way to the bottom of the peninsula, so there's probably going to be some elimination of some of the harder segments, especially at the beginning, because there has been a lot of pounding on it.
Right about 85 is where it goes off. So that is about a 15-mile highway section there.
And as you can see, there's some farm fields and farm areas here. This is down near Independencia, Reforma, and you'll be taking this loop out to the east of Highway 3. This is Highway 3, and you'll be coming down into the Goat Trail, which is a tricky section if you haven't done it before. It's full of rocks with a bit of a ledge on the right side where the highway is. So definitely don't overdrive. It's a long race. Don't get in a hurry. And yeah, Goat Trail brings you into Valle Trinidad, which is a very traditional area that we've raced in for many, many years. I think one of the most popular what is the most popular thing about Valle Trinidad, Fish?
The tacos?
Yep, exactly. That's right. There's a taco stand that everybody seems to love. Remember, enjoy at your own risk, everybody. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I'm just saying that, you want to be cautious of what you're putting in your body before you go race the Baja 1000.
Here, you know what? We look who we can bring back real quick to clarify on the road section until Jose G comes on.
Oh, nice. I love having Nate Hunt. Now, Nate was the one, I believe, that marked a predominant amount of the race course. He pre-organized it through Jackson Motorsports and BFG. Nate, can you clarify? Am I right about what we've been saying about the Ojos Tres Hermanos?
Did Cameron freeze or did I?
I think Cameron froze.
Okay.
Does that count at kilometer 77 or what's the deal up there?
Yeah, so I just wanted to point out, so we didn't do the El Alamo section, mainly because we were trying to get it so pitting could be done all down Highway 1 and not have to go out to Highway 3. So by cutting that El Alamo section that you did at the 400, basically put race mile 155 at the end of the crossover road. And so we weren't having to send more traffic on the crossover road than possible. So it was mainly a safety thing as well as a pit strategy or pit strategy, maybe just for us, but for a lot of people, I think, to be able to just send all the pit stuff down one highway rather than out Highway 3, and then chance the crossover road with local traffic.
Right on. And so on the crossover road section, it's not just the Calentura Road or crossover road or Vineyard Road, as it's called. Is there a couple different segments in there? Like
It's
we
the
raced
same,
the 400?
the same as the 400. Yeah. Yeah. So you're going to jump off and do that new section that you did. And there's the expert right there.
Hey, Jose G.
Hey, senores. Sorry, I'm late.
The big boss from SCORE is here. Nate, feel free to stay, but we're very honored to have your presence.
Well, that would be Nate, right?
No, you, Jose G. For those of you that don't know, Jose G's been running SCORE for a number of years. I am a huge fan of his and his course layouts and the plans between he and BFGoodrich and Jackson and everybody involved make it absolutely stunning what they're able to accomplish. We're early in the race course. We talked about no pre-running and pre-Ojos. When does that open, Jose G? If
it'll open 3 days before the actual race. There's a lot of things going on there. We're going through town, so yeah, it's usually they give us permission 1 or 2 days only, and you know the drill. We set a time, and there's people 24 hours doing it. So
yeah,
it's always crazy.
Real quick, Jose G, can you tell us where we're going to start, because we didn't cover that yet? Where are we going to start, and how's that going to look?
Okay, so the actual we're gonna start very close. If you can zoom into like the Riviera Convention Center where we always start. I'm right there at the office right now. So yeah, zooming more on the Corona Hotel. Okay, so right, the satellite footage is not updated. So between the Corona and the marina, there's a new concrete street there that it's all fenced and it's all like really nice. So exactly right there, and it'll make, we'll be using that going that 90 to back to like the dirt streets behind the boulevard. So anyway, that's where we're going to be doing contingency, and registration is going to be in at the Riviera Convention Center at the Red Room as always. And we have to do this because of COVID is like always back, and it's getting pretty bad. So this was the only way to do it, so that we were in town and still be able to keep our racers and our fans safe. So that, because it's all gated, people will be able to see it, but at least the staff, the racers, and everyone that's going to be in contingency and in our area, it's going to be controlled with all the protocols as we've done in the past races. So it's a win-win situation there. And so anyway, that's going to be the start contingency and start area. But we're going to do it like we did the last time. It's very difficult now to run through town, and very dangerous. So we're going to have a parade start in groups. So like trophy trucks won't have to wait for class 11s to line up. So we'll split up depending on the number of entries we have. If we have to split it up in 5, 6 groups, whatever we have to do. I mean, you'll probably start and wait 10, 15 minutes, and then SCORE or the police are going to parade you out to the highway where we have been starting before. And that's where your race time is going to start.
Okay, so we have a parade out to where the start's been, and then your time starts there.
That is correct, and we're updating the schedule because we want to give you guys more daylight as possible. So we're actually the parade, the full start or parade start that we call it is going to start at 9 a.m., not at 10, so that we're actually your official time starts probably even earlier than 10 o'clock out on the highway.
That's a good question. What time will the bikes stage and start, and what time will the four-wheel?
It'll be the same. We're gonna. I don't want to get the bikes up earlier. They're already starting at 2 a.m. So their start won't change. So I don't want to screw them more by taking an hour away from their sleep.
Copy
and
that.
their parade start's gonna be at 2. It'll be quick. We'll get the first couple of classes out to the highway immediately. It won't affect them at all. I mean, we're counting on having probably 100 bikes now, so the number is pretty good. And again, we'll do it in 5 groups if we have to, as long as they can start and then get paraded to their actual start spot.
Okay,
Yeah,
awesome.
So one question on that, Jose, because I know a guy like Cameron's gonna have a chase crew up there to top him off with gas so he can go farther. Is that section at the timing gate open to chase teams to be able to be there for their chase trucks?
You know that once you're in our areas, there's no pitting, there's no fueling. So yeah, make sure you start with a full tank of gas, because it's those 4.5 miles that they're gonna parade you over to the start area. That's, even though that your time hasn't started, that's still like the race course. So when you get back in staging, and you have to be in line, you can't lose your spot, because then you're just wasting time on it for everyone. So yeah, make sure once we stage you, because we will stage you in town, and you have to do the parade to the actual start at the new highway there in line. You cannot lose your spot, because then it just screws all the logistics, and then we waste time. And I mean, it's already getting dark very early, so yeah, we want to get you guys started as quick as possible.
Right on. That's a good question, Nate. Thank you. Let's jump forward. We talked about the crossover road. Nate mentioned coming out at race mile 155. This is where BFG Pit 1 will be. This is where we also access Highway 1. This will be a speed controlled zone. Make sure you know what the speed control speed is. It says it at the speed zone waypoint. If you don't know, it has the mile per hour. In this particular case, it looks like it's a 60-mile-an-hour zone. Confirmed.
Yeah, actually, all of the highway sections, I believe, maybe I'm wrong right now. I just got here. I don't have my notes, but we went back to 60 on almost all the highways, except through towns. Of course, through towns is always 37, because it's instead of making it safer, I think we were creating a bigger problem especially for the bikes getting past. They were doing 37s, locals are doing 80. So it wasn't safe, especially for the bikes. So we went back to 60 so that it's a constant speed on the highway. And we did it last time, and I think it worked out better and it's safer.
I'm a proponent of that. I would never ride my dirt bike on the highway at 37 miles an hour. I mean, unless I was racing and that was the mandated speed. I'm just saying in general, having cars pass you, I understand what you're saying. So I agree. You'll get on the highway, you'll head south. And this is where my buddy Reese Millen and I jumped in on our pre-run. Reese, what was your takeaway? We had pre-ran the course at Colonet, which is about race mile 167, where you get off the highway, if I'm not mistaken. Reese, what was your takeaway on leaving the highway in that section right after that?
Yeah, obviously you're turning into the wash the same as the 400 and running down there underneath a couple of the bridges. It gets pretty good size whoops right at the end of there. There's a couple of lines if you're creative, but all in all, you're kind of staying in line.
Yes, and I would caution you guys that it looks like they had built some jumps maybe for the 400. Just make sure this is a section where there's going to be a lot of spectators early in the race, daytime for many people, but just be aware there were a couple jumps built in that area. You're going to come all the way down the wash, and you're going to get out to below Colonet Point. You can see it runs right along the Pacific Ocean. First time you're going to see it. Again, be careful of local traffic. You'll make a turn here as you head through VCP into Cuatro Casas, surf point there. This is all very traditional race course. Not a lot of, new surprises. If you've never raced it, be very wary. There is a big silt section at times at Cuatro Casas. Is that still existing there, Jose G?
Oh yeah, it's still there.
So
we always leave it open. There's plenty of options there.
Copy that. So you guys pick your best option. Be safe and smart. Watch for oncoming traffic, and watch out for that silt. Headed southbound, we're going to get trucking. We're going to talk about some of the newer sections, but this is very traditional. But the one thing we need to warn you about is there's a lot of spectators. There is a lot of town here. There's people everywhere. So just be very wary of all of that as we're moving south. This is it's called San Juanico, is it not, where the shipwreck is? That the name of the town area?
San Jacinto.
San Jacinto, my bad. I thought maybe it's same as San Juanico down below, not to be confused. San Jacinto, this is what's been traditionally known as shipwrecks. If you're new to Baja, you'll never know why we call it shipwrecks.
It's not there anymore.
Yeah, it's not there.
There's no shipwreck anymore.
The ship is there. It was ran aground in, I think, 84 is the earliest pictures I saw of it. But it's basically deteriorated and gone back into the sea. You'll race through this area, this community. Right here at the race course, just a warning, there's a dog rescue here. The guy has a couple speed bumps. Just be respectful when you're pre-running. Obviously, everywhere on the course, it's not pre-racing. It is pre-running, not racing. You go down lately, there's been some big washouts here on this road. Be careful in this area. They're still there. Obviously, Jose G and Reese, you saw that.
Yeah, and a couple of them had actually been filled in. They weren't as aggressive as they'd been in the past.
Yeah, that's correct.
Beware, hard to see it. You'll be trucking down. You're going to go through Camaloo. Down here, you get through a couple of VCPs. Any special notes from you about the Camaloo area? I know that the routing is just slightly different than what I've seen recently, but it's pretty much more the same. There's a place called the Pirate Bar there. If you haven't been there, they do serve food. It's a pretty cool place right above the ocean there. It looks like it would be a great point break, but I've never actually surfed out there. Have you, Jose G? Have you surfed out there?
Oh no, I'm totally against cold water, and Nate knows that. So.
I hear you.
No, I've never surfed.
So going through a little further south, Fish, we're going to go through the outskirts of Camaloo. There is a town here, of course, lots of spectators. It's a slightly different routing if you were there at one of the more recent races to get around this giant ditch or arroyo that goes through there. But you're going to come back out to the highway very near a Pemex gas station.
Correct.
And get back on the highway headed south. This is race mile 200 we just passed.
Yep.
So race mile 200, you're about almost a sixth of the way down the peninsula. This area here, very congested in the town and the cars, and just beware on the street. You're gonna make a turn off to go down into this wash, this Santo Domingo wash. Score did a lot of work at the end of this wash to make it really passable. Last year's Baja 1000, is that where you guys did all that work?
Yep, that is correct. There was a lake, and we made it. We're actually working right now. We didn't have it on time to not to use the highway anymore. We're going to be racing. If we're going south, we can do it like we're doing right now, but we didn't have enough time for this one. But we're going to be skipping that highway section from now on. Because to be honest, the original plan for the 1000 was going to be on the San Felipe side. But then when Nate and I were down there, we encountered all kinds of new fences, and there's something going on there. There was pretty much no dirt. That's why we immediately changed it to San Quintin. And thanks to actually to BFGoodrich is that we found that that new section that's going to cut off south of Caravina over to Cocos Corner.
Right on. So yeah, one thing I'll mention that VCPs are important for safety and for a lot of reasons. I do notice that sometimes the VCP moves around a little bit right there by what used to be Gaston's restaurant. Now it's privately held. but make sure you're following where the VCPs are. There's some lines there that could miss you the VCP. Just
what is a
heads up.
VCP penalty worth, Jose?
10 minutes.
And
10
what is the range on the VCP now?
120 feet. On the numbered ones, I believe, and if it has a letter like an A, B, C or something, those are 40 feet. That means that we really want you close to stay on the marked course, because there could be a main road on the side that people want to jump onto that, and we can't do it. We're not the bad guys. It's just that what we're allowed to do, and that's the only way we can do it.
Right on. Yeah, we saw a local stuck there. We went to go back and actually got talk to another local who had a tractor to go back and pull this lady and her kids out of the sand.
Cool.
It was cool. Yeah, good camaraderie there. Reese, this is where we jumped onto those salt flats on the back of the lagoons here in San Catinas. Pretty interesting roads and undulations and changes in there. It was a bit of fun.
Yeah, for sure. We got a little bit of filming done, some good hits, some good chumps. But again, you got to be smart. You got to be heads up. Take your time pre-running. Make sure that the trail that you're going to run and pre-running, if it deviates off the race course, is not going to be swamped or salted or anything come race day.
Or have a lot of spectators on it on race day.
Yes, a lot of spectators. And also, Reese made a good point. The upwelling of water comes from underneath, depending on tides and moons and stuff like that. And this particular section has had some races recently, and the VCPs have changed a little bit now and then. So be wary that you're getting to your VCPs. Never go backwards on the race course, right, Jose G? Never.
That is correct. People that have done it before have found out that it's not a good idea.
Instant DQ.
Yes.
Is that
automatically, no matter what?
Instant DQ. So just make sure you're plotting your course and know where you're going. Don't turn around, but just make sure that you're following along with where the marked race course is. We're going to jump into this between the dikes here. I haven't actually raced this, I don't think, in a car. I raced this in Baja Rally on a motorcycle a number of years back. It's interesting going down underneath the highway. There's a couple of I wouldn't call it tricky, Reese, but I definitely say there's a couple holes in there you got to watch out for as you're coming up through that wash. It kind of zigzags around a little bit.
I'm going to say I don't remember that area.
Copy. What about you, Jose?
But it's not my race area, so I can.
Yeah, that is correct. There's and they move every day, and people are taking sand from sand washes, so you have to be really careful, because you can pre-run it, then it's flat, and then the other day there's a huge hole. But yeah, just be heads up on that.
For sure. This brings you up to what's kind of a bit of a silt area, not a giant deal, but there are some big silt turns at times in this. So we're bypassing the one big fun camera silt turn, which we didn't get to shoot on pre-running. Thanks, Jose G. But this takes you out to the back of the farm fields. There's a couple different, quick turns, a little bit of off camber, nothing really too crazy. Drops you down into this wash. Now this wash, we hadn't raced this a lot over the last couple of decades, but the last couple of years we've been getting some action in here. Jose G, you seem to like this particular spot. It seems pretty open for racing. Not open. It's not wide open because there's bushes and telephone poles and everything. But I mean, it seems like everybody's cool with us racing down in there.
That's correct. Yeah, and it's pretty cool. I mean, and we just bypassed that rough section behind the mountains to get to that place. We kept it on the Pacific side. Believe it or not, we tried to make it as easy as possible. And I do think once you clear San Quintin, you only have a couple of sections that are pretty challenging, but overall, I think the course is fast.
For sure. I said that before you got on the show, Jose G, that sometimes you guys eliminate segments to the north that are a bit more beat up when we're trying to race the whole peninsula to make it a little bit more achievable for people.
Correct.
This section right here, you go up into the mountains a little bit. You're going to go behind El Rosario. This is a wash, I believe, is this at Socorro that we're looking at right there, Jose G? Or no, yeah, no, that's still San Quintin. Sorry. But we're going to head out into the back hills here.
That is at Socorro.
Oh, that is at Socorro. Okay. We pre-ran this. It's a fun wash area section. We did see a couple ranchers, farmers in there. Traffic. Reese, when we got up on top of this mountain up here, that graded road was good, but man, there was sure a couple of steep spots off the side there. There's actually a really picturesque place if you are stopped there and looking around. There's kind of a big rock formation up there, but there's definitely some exposure out there, huh, Reese?
Yeah, you know, it's really flowing. It's really got a good rhythm to it. Not too many gotchas that are deceptive on reading the surface or the corners. But yeah, you want to make sure you're smart and stay on the trail for sure.
Jose G, it's been a little while since we've been out on this particular graded road, but coming down into that farm, maybe explain the action there. We're going to go through a gate, and then are we still staying right and going through a narrow pass as we drop down towards the wash?
What mile are you talking about there, Cameron?
Yeah.
281, race mile 281, right there where it drops into the wash.
Okay, yeah, that's when you drop into the Wash of El Rosario. That narrow gate, the one you took the picture on, that's not narrow anymore.
I bet.
Thank you. No. Actually, I saw your picture and I made it. I marked that section. I did it in an eraser. And I said, like, hey, man, this is pretty tight. So we got a hold of the rancher, and he was nice enough to remove a few fence posts and made it wider. If not, someone was going to do it anyway, but we were going to pay for it. So we just
I got through it
enough to do it before someone else did it. The other
I got through it with my my Baja HQ Raptor.
Thank you for the plug. Baja HQ loves the old Raptors.
You're welcome.
I got there. We decided not to go through it just because it was so narrow. We were on the very first day of pre-running. We respectfully got through there, took a look at it, and I'm sure it was tuned up. But this crosses the wash. This is the El Rosario wash for those of you that are chasing or whatever. It's not right on the highway. Approximate distance to the highway, I could guess, but I bet, Nate, you know exactly the mileage.
Nope.
Okay.
I can tell you. No, I don't know.
So anyway, just be wary that this is not right on the right on the highway. Also note it's a very dusty area. The route going towards the race course, and also note that there is a ton of farms there, and it's a big red dust, and it's not easy to get in and out of there. I call this this dirt going out of there is all red, so it's pretty interesting. There's plenty of rocks, and you're now starting to see really boojum trees for the first time. For those of you that don't know, the boojum tree is indigenous to Baja, and really that's the only place in the world. This is where the course change happened. This is coming out, if I'm not mistaken, at El Arenoso. This is what's known as the Boojum Highway, where it comes out to the highway. Is that correct, Jose G?
Yep, that is correct. We had it going straight before, and we had to change it back to the highway. Little issue there.
Copy. We were going to actually do that section on our bikes not that long ago, and we went out to the highway also because we were feeling kind of lazy, and we hadn't explored it or talked to the ranchers. So we came out to the highway. The one note out there, the Boojum Highway, man, there are some cholla cactus that are right in bad spots on the outside of the turn. So don't go too wide, anybody. Just saying, we've experienced cholla inside the race truck in that particular area. And then Reese, this is a part of the course I didn't race, or didn't pre-run, I should say, but it looks like there's some pretty tricky stuff out there.
Yeah, as you turn back off the highway and head back up into the canyon, there's like a business establishment, like a rancho, but a lot of equipment, and you want to make sure you make that hard left before the gate or the fence and go around that guy's property and then drop down into the canyon. It can be a little deceptive, but once you get down in there, it's tight, twisty. It's actually a really fun section, and then it opens up into the silt beds.
And Jose G, you guys or Nate, you guys moved it where we come off the highway a little bit. That's a little bit different, so it's not quite as blind, but there's still a rise that you come over right before you turn off, correct?
Yeah, that's correct, but it's really careful on pre-running days, of course, but on race day, our staff will be there and make sure that it's all safe.
Right on. Remember, racers, to try to turn your lights down when you're on the highway with the opposing traffic. Make sure your chase guys aren't driving with their off-road lights as well. Now, Jose G, this section has traditionally found some silt to come up. Do you think that's something people are going to have to deal with out here in this loop?
Of course.
I guess we would call this, you call this kind of the Guayaquil Loop? That's kind of the area that we're in.
It's Guayaquil and Marmol Loop, and but yeah, I mean, then especially that area, I think it's where all of you guys are going to get really creative. Though I don't worry much about the silt pits because some of the lines I've seen don't even hit. They're not even on the race course, so I don't worry that much.
I don't know who would do such a thing.
I don't know. Someone really creative.
Really creative people. So yeah, El Marmol is an old onyx mine that's out there. Just for those of you that don't know, Jose G mentioned it. He said it properly. I just said it like a gringo, but that's going to bring us back down alongside the highway. Some of interesting tidbits. This is a lot of this, Jose G, is the original road that people used to travel down the Baja Peninsula, correct?
That is correct. And this time we got you really close to Catavina, and actually right where where you get on the pavement there north of Catavina on the left side. That's where the really cool rock paintings are. So it's a bit different than what we've done in the past.
It's a location that we've featured on our trail of missions trips. Yep. That those cave paintings might be the easiest to get to.
Yes, you can walk to them. Yeah,
it's right off the side of the highway there by the race course. If you're going into Catavina and you have time, daylight, watch out for snakes. But this is the old road, but don't be confused because it's not like a road, and there is a shrine and some rocks sticking out in the way. Make sure you're very careful how you pick your way through there. There's one of my favorite passes, actually. We recently filmed for the BFGoodrich Monster Energy pre-run that we're putting together. We'll be sending some of that to you guys, Jose G, as well. There's a really, really beautiful rock pass in there that we did some filming. You jump on the highway here. Catavina, just so everybody knows, there's no cell service there. There is a couple of hotels. I'm sure that most all the racers have the main hotel filled up. There in Catavina.
There's also no gas there except for the guy that might be there with gas cans. So do not plan on getting gas at Catavina.
Yep. They've been building a PMEX station there, but they have not opened it. But there have been traditionally people with barrel gas there. From there, there would be no barrel gas until you get to the LA Bay Junction, just so you guys know. You can see the runway at San Ynez. Not sure the situation or condition of that. Race mile 375. You're on the highway controlled speed zone headed south. And then for this giant adventure that's only about 8 miles long, if I'm not mistaken, is that approximately good mileage there, 8 miles across? Oh, by the way, when you're pre-running on the right side of the road, there's a landmark here right before you turn off called El Pedregoso. Anybody that's a geo expert, I would love to know from you how all these round stacked rocks, it looks like God's rock stacking, ended up in the middle of all this red volcanic rock. Please let me know if you know, because I do not. It's something that's been pestering me for years. Now, we're going to turn off here. How long is this segment? I think this is race mile 395. So you probably come off at like 394. I think it comes out at maybe 404. So about 10 miles, but there's a tree at the highway, which has forever marked our little single track that we've been using, which is no longer
a secret.
No longer a secret. For those of you that don't know, we'll do a full profile on this. This is a featured element in our pre-run show that we're going to launch the week before the race. Fred's Tractor Trail is named that because a guy named Fred was trying to get a shorter route from San Ynez, where his family owned property, to where his family owned property in Gonzaga at the Oro Grande. And Fred did a marvelous job of trying to make this work, but it wasn't really passable. And this was in, I believe, the 60s, if I'm not mistaken. At the time, I think that you had to go all the way around Calamaway to come back up this side. But this is very rocky when you get out onto it. Jose G, were you excited about this becoming part of the race course? Is this something you've been looking forward to?
Yeah, I've heard about that road for a number of years now, but I really never got a chance to go and scout it. And when Nate and I were down there trying to map out the 1000 and realized there was no dirt to run on the Gonzaga Bay section, so they call it Hell's Canyon. I know it probably has a bunch of names, and I knew I had that plot that actually Frank sent it to me. and but years ago. And we came out at Chapala, and we downloaded the file and went back and we did it. And actually, it was, to me, it was pretty cool to find something new for, not for you, but for a lot of people that have no clue that thing was there. And we actually did it. I think we did it going up the first time.
Yeah, we did it backwards right after.
We did it backwards, but with the Nate's driving and the
Nice.
professional driving, and with in the Raptor, it actually looked easy. I only got off the truck once because I was afraid that he was going to kill us. And
at the narrow spot or on the climb?
Exactly. I told him I was just going to spot him, but I was really afraid that he was going to kill me. And I think it was really cool. I know it's very challenging for small cars like Class 11s and things like that. Just a couple of miles of just running on tougher rocks, but it's just something that it's new to everyone, and I think it's going to be pretty cool.
If you go back from Danger 11 there, Fish, right there at the bottom, that's at the very bottom. So you start off, it's a slight incline going to the summit. Then you'll start dropping down on the side of the hill here, which you're side hilling with exposure on your right side. Be very careful. Keep coming down, and a little further, a little faster. Not racing. Stop right there. I was talking to Fish. Be very careful and very deliberate about what you're doing. You're going to come over the summit. This is the summit here. You come over down the sides. Then you're going to get down to this switchback section. And if I'm not mistaken, Fish, put your little hand, leave it right there. Nope, up a little bit. No, up, uphill. Right in that corner right there is where the rock is sticking out. Is that right, Nate?
Yep.
So,
yeah, and there's no shortcut there, just so you know.
Yeah, it's all sheer drop. It's
a long way down.
But it's a long way down, and I did want to say, I don't know if we were the very first people with trophy trucks to go through there, and I don't know the width of Reese's truck or Bobby Picoy's Mason. They're got to be pretty close to the width of the race trucks, but it was narrow. Reese, you experienced it for the first time ever, Fred's Tractor Trail. What's your thoughts on this segment, and also what's your thoughts on that narrow corner?
Yeah, there's definitely two spots. As you said, there's the rock on the left that you have to traverse around. You want to hug it because you don't want to knock the edge off, especially in pre-running, or else it's going to be almost impassable. And then the tight 90 left, you're already on an off camber, you're going downhill, and then you have this blind visual tight left. And as you guys commented, the drops, you've got to respect it. If you've come race day, if you're going through there, if your truck doesn't turn that great, make sure you're below 1 mile an hour. Absolutely crawl around that tight left. And then once you get down into the bottom, it's kind of a 3 mile section of rocks and wash that is more like Matone wash.
Wait, go back, Fish, real quick. Go back to the bottom right there where it says danger number 11. That's a steep downhill into the La Turquesa wash. This, in my opinion, is one of the finest examples of cactus gardens in all of Baja. This particular spot has the bujums, has the cardones, has tons of different cholla. There is just good cactus viewing in there, and I have a ton of respect for it. I love it. When we do the bike trips or whatever, we would always stop there. Just wanted to note that that's just a really fabulous part of the peninsula. And there's go ahead,
Cam,
Nate.
just to interrupt there, I mean, most people will be racing this in the dark, or a lot of people will be. I totally recommend pre-running this during the day, maybe your first time especially. But yeah, you definitely want to do it during the daylight just to check out, one, the view from the summit, and then two, that cactus garden down at the bottom. It's amazing scenery. It's one of my favorite parts now there in Baja North.
You can tell the cactuses are so big you can actually see them on Google Earth. Like here's one right here. You can see a couple of them right here. They're that big. You can see them from the satellite.
Yeah, right at the bottom. I posted a picture on the DA Facebook from the bottom of Bobby Picoy and his Navigator bird in there. Man, there's some big suckers in there. And then you're going to head down the wash. There's not a lot of options. For the longest time, we had to pick our way through there, but then the UTVs started coming in, and they made more of a trail. There's a mine on the side. That's why it's called the La Turquesa mine, because of the canyons, La Turquesa. You're going to come down and hit Highway 5. Beware of traffic and people around. This is the new highway. You'll be on it for a short amount of time, and then you'll turn left off at what is the new Coco's Corner. That's correct, right, Jose G? We turn directly at
right before Coco's. We make a left turn off the pavement, and then we go back to the old dirt where Coco's used to be.
And when we go through the old dirt where Coco's used to be, now we no longer go into that little hell canyon, right?
No. We already put you through the other one. So why so much hate, right?
so much kindness from you.
Yes.
I feel so much love. You will get back onto what is the new Highway 5. Of course, that's a speed control zone. You're going to come out to Chapala. This Chapala Dry Lake is a legendary and traditional part of the Baja 1000 course. Originally, it was checkpoint 2. You're going to come down here alongside the lake bed, and then Jose G, do you now get onto the pavement there, or you do not?
Yeah, you do.
Okay.
We scouted around. There's one spot that made it impossible for us to stay on the dirt, and especially in that area, since you're already in the protected area, there's no way we would go and mess with moving rocks or dirt or anything. So yeah, we hop back on the highway for a short bit, and then it's off to El Crucero. We can't do Calamajue Wash anymore. So that we're pretty much forced to do that section of highway.
So you jump on the highway here, and you get a speed zone. Then you're going to come off to the side, and you're going to rejoin what has traditionally been the exit of Calamajue Wash, headed for El Crucero. Now, El Crucero is at about race mile 444. Is that it?
Yep, there it is.
444 or so. I wanted to warn people, we've had 2 accidents there ourselves, and I would call us mostly Baja experts. And I'm talking about coming from the highway. The highway, as you can see, turns around this small mountain. You just be very cautious when you're turning off here. Also understand that if you're using your turn signal to get off and people are behind you, sometimes in Mexico or in Baja, people use a turn signal to pass, to tell you to pass. I would not suggest doing that, but just be wary of all your surroundings as you turn off across live traffic on the highway to get to El Crucero. From that section, go ahead.
Cam, just a real note in that section right there, that highway section, that's brand new pavement, and it's like a 6-inch thick straight drop off the highway. So you got to be super careful in that section. It's nice pavement, but it's a super gnarly drop off. And if you drop your tires off that side, you're gonna have some issues.
I would actually. That's a really good point, Nate. I was actually thinking that I would say that it's one of the most dangerous sections in all of Baja on the highway because of that drop and how narrow. There's no shoulder at all. It's just a sheer drop, as Nate said. So everybody, be really careful. Make sure you're minding yourself going through there. There's no speeding for sure.
Yeah, there's a BFG pit there at El Crucero. And just so you know, coming south on the highway, there's a second entrance into El Crucero, and that's what we recommend everybody use, not that first entrance, because of that drop off the pavement. So you can see that first road coming in before the turn, basically. We recommend you go to that second entrance. Yep, that one that's the one you should go in. Safer going around that corner, so you can see, first of all, getting off left off the highway. And again, with that drop off up top, it's super gnarly. So that's what we recommend there.
No matter how you do it, it's going to sneak up on you. And make sure you don't. If you miss it, you miss it. You got to come back. There is not a lot of places to turn around, though. I will tell you, just got to be really careful in there. That's going to take you down through some whoops. You're going to make a easterly turn through the back hills, through an old mine area, some beautiful boojum and elephant trees. There's also elephant trees at the bottom of the Fred's Tractor Trail. That will put you on the LA Bay Highway, and you're cruising along. I know Fish is trying to keep us moving because we're supposed to be done at 2.
Gotta go just a little faster.
Well, we love talking about Baja, and we got a bunch of Baja donkeys.
Hey, I don't gotta go. You guys gotta go. A couple of you guys.
LA Bay does not have cell service. It does have a couple gas stations, and there is some good assets there. I did want to mention both in Ensenada and around Baja, if they are under a mask mandate, you should be wearing masks when you're interacting with people. And I think it's unfair for people that come from states where there's no mask mandate. They go somewhere where there is a mask mandate and limited healthcare, and you don't wear your mask. So just, I think, be respectful and wear your mask. Jose G, I see you nodding your head.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, I think
Totally.
it's bullshit personally that when people disregard the local mandates, and I understand we're all interacting with people and everybody has their own opinion, but be respectful of everybody. You're going to get through Race Mile 500 right there in the LA Bay area. There's a lot of fast racing here. I will caution you that even the faster you go, the more chance of crashing. So just be very careful. There is a very dangerous corner. I don't know exactly what mile. Reese, you were in there. I'm sure that corner is still part of the race course south of LA Bay.
Yeah, it's almost a 90 left with a drop off. We ran it just a few months ago in Nora. It caught out a couple of people, and I think every year it catches a couple of people. So yeah,
do you know, Nate or Jose G, what race mile that is or where that is? I think I know, but I don't want to say because I don't know exactly.
No, not really. I know exactly which one you're talking about, and there's also another dangerous one that it's not really a turn, and you would remember that when Scott Steinberger thought it was straight and it wasn't. So that's marked also. But I think those two spots right there on the whole thing, those are the two most dangerous ones.
I agree. So the first one is a dangerous left turn Reese was just talking about, and then Reese, you probably remember it coming up over the hill, where Scott crashed is a slight right over rise or something like that, and he went straight and wadded his trophy truck up in there. So you guys are the speed comes up, but it doesn't decrease the chance of crashing, Reese.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that other one you talk about, it almost fakes you out. It's a kink right, hard left. So I think they're around 500 mile mark, if I'm not mistaken. Might be off on that.
Yeah, there's a road cut at 499, and then there's that really narrow concrete pad. Reese, you probably remember that concrete pad that you have to be careful. If you're off the trail at all, you're gonna have a hard time there. And that concrete pad's at 520, just past 520.
So you're talking about a ditch and a concrete pad.
Yeah.
So be wary. There are some vados out there, some drainage culverts and stuff. That the turn that Scott Steinberger crashed on is in that middle section. Then as you get closer to San Rafael Fish Camp, there's a drop away right turn that has a decreasing radius. Heads up for that. That's going to take you down through the area known as San Francisco. We still make that right turn into the nasty, yucky rocks and wash there. Jose G, is that correct?
Yeah, we still cut from one road to the other one, where the old military checkpoint was. That if you go straight, you actually go to San Francisco. So we make that 90 to the right. And it's only a few miles until you get back on a fast road, but it's not bad.
Copy. This road has been well taken care of. Baja Sur has been doing a lot of work on their roads. Be careful, drop-offs, turns, the usual stuff. You're going to come out here. I'm going to say it wrong, but I always call it Guillermo Pietro. Am I close, Jose G?
No, we actually cross after El Arco. We don't cross at Guillermo Prieto over to Mujica.
No, I know that, but we go through what's I call a ghost town of Guillermo Prieto, right?
The ghost town of Guillermo Prieto, where all those White House buildings are. Yep. And you go past El Tablon, and so we actually skip most of the bad silts down behind Vizcaíno by doing this.
Just heads up, you're on a really high-speed road, and there's a 90 left to get off onto it, a very narrow 2-track. We'll be featuring that in our pre-run show. That's a little higher up north. We did a feature. Bobby missed the turn right there, up a little higher right there. I think that's the hard left off at VCP 157, maybe. I can't read it.
Yeah, 157.
But you were pre-running. You weren't pre-racing. What happened?
We were not pre-racing, but I was there filming, and Bobby was coming up behind me, so he knew no one was around, and he missed the turn. It came up fast on his GPS. We're going to race through the backside. As Jose G said, we're going to go through Vizcaíno. There is still probably going to be some silt to contend with out there. You agree, Nate?
Yeah. And by the way, there's that 137-mile-an-hour speed zone. Yeah, I know you talked about them earlier with the 60-mile-an-hour. That one right there is 37.
Air mile 705.
This is one of the trickiest spots on the race course too. You talked about Jose G, that it's mostly more open, but there are a couple tricky spots. Fred's Tractor Trail is one of them. I'm going to say that one of them is this section coming up into the San Ignacio military checkpoint, because there is just a whole host of rocks. They have cleaned it up back a little bit, Fish, coming up to the highway. This
Right
section
there.
is a very red rock. It's there's a place there that I was calling Flat Tire Alley, but it's actually like Damnation Alley, because the rocks on the side aren't going to give you a flat. They're going to just take your whole side of your car off, if I'm not mistaken. Would you agree, Reese?
Yeah, we had one of us got a flat in there. It wasn't me, but one of us got a flat.
It wasn't me. But yeah, you guys just real careful. I know everybody gets excited. They start getting close to San Ignacio. They might have pits or driver changes or whatever there. Just be wary. They have cleaned up the climb up the hill. Is that something that you guys did, Jose G, to clean up that hill a little bit?
No, we can't take credit for that. The locals did that. And just so you know, like what Nate just said, that is a 37-mile-per-hour zone, because you pass through the military checkpoint. On race day, there's going to be a lane for the racers, so they're not going to pull you over or anything. And once you clear town, you get back to 60.
So what we're talking about here, this is San Ignacio. For most people, this is the traditional halfway of the peninsula. Bobby Picoy just sent me a text message, not appreciating our talk about running into a rock in there. This area here is beautiful. Palm Oasis. This is San Ignacio downtown. If you have time when you're pre-running, if you've made time to stay in San Ignacio, check out the Mission in the square where all the big trees are over there. There is a beautiful Mission that is probably one of the easiest to drive right up to. And on the opposite side of the square, or to the side, is the Edson Romero's family ice cream store. And we always stop to get ice cream there. Lots of great hospitality, great trees to set underneath. Remember, be respectful with your mask. You're going to leave town and the speed zone is going to change. You're on the highway here. This a decade ago, this was dirt. Now, because of all the tourism out at all the lagoons for the whale watching, they've been paving this, and this is paved for quite a ways out. I hail SCORE and the BFG team for finding a way to get off to the side as we get further down there, but there's still quite a bit of speed zone controlled here leaving San Ignacio. And the section off to the south side, Jose G, I think this is a fun find that you guys have been going on, but there are certainly some gotchas, some rocks, and a little bit of exposure in there.
Yeah, everywhere. I mean, it's we always try to find ways to skip highways, but it's sometimes it's just impossible. There's actually a way to bypass the whole thing, but then you don't go through town, and that's part of the things that the locals want, and they request us to go through the towns. It just brings life and adventure to the locals, and they've been waiting for this race forever. So
hey, Jose G, I just wanted to say this.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's another secret one.
You will come back down and you will jump onto the big graded roads near the lagoons. Remember, you're not alone out there. These fast roads, people can't be on them. All this area outside of those two left turns is all ranchos. You're going to get into the low road to San Juanico or Scorpion Bay. That's also has what's known as, stop going so fast, Fish. I know you're trying to rush me. But the sand highway, there are some sand whoops in here. Be careful as you're heading towards El Datil, which is the fish camp that we're going to go around the back of. There's a bypass around El Datil. Before El Datil, there are some salt flats. Be wary up there. One thing that I like to caution everybody on is white ice. The water comes up from the bottom and it can be wet, and the white stuff can be incredibly slippery. Not always, but I wanted to warn people that be cautious of slippery conditions. We did run on a couple lines below El Datil where there was some water and mud, and I was like, oh man, I'm getting my truck salty. But the good news was I didn't get stuck. There is definitely the possibility of that as moisture comes up. Jose G, I'm sure you've seen some people stuck out there and heard some stories over the years of people losing their way in the dark.
It's the same as getting stuck at the Diablo Dry Lake, but once you're in it and it's a little bit wet, make sure you're on the gas, because if you're stuck there, it's almost impossible to get to you to pull you out, and that sucks you in.
It's like it's like
you'll be
wet
there for a
cement.
while.
Yeah, getting stuck's one thing. Hitting some of that slippery stuff is a whole other. I will say that I would call myself like a pretty good Baja expert, and I did get on the wrong trail down there in 2014 with my expert navigator, Cody Stewart, who I always blame for everything, but that was my fault. Anyway, you're going to merge back up onto the high road down a little further. I'm not sure the VCP there, but this is going through a couple towns. There are a couple dangerous corners. There's drop-away left turns in there. Be careful. There's a caution sign on one of them, or a turn sign on one of them, not a caution from the locals. I don't know if there's score down arrows there or not.
Yeah. Well, there were. We have no clue they're still there. So.
This is Cudahy. This is a local town. They're very friendly. You don't always see people there. There's a school. Please maintain your speed limits. You're going to go through Cudahy, then you're going to start heading directly south to San Juanico or Scorpion Bay. There is no proper PMEX station in Scorpion Bay, but there has been barrel gas where you see right there at the speed zone start. I think that's what that is, where the race course makes a hard left. If you basically, I'm not saying exactly, but if you go straight slowly there and go 2 blocks back and turn right, there's a place where you can get gas. Is that what that says? That little blue marker there to your up one more right there. I'm not sure what that says. I can't read it here.
Supermarket.
Yeah, I think there's a dock there. There's like that's where the PMEX is. Is that right, Jose G or Nate? Is that the spot?
There's you have Camacho's there. There's like 3 places where they sell fuel.
Yeah,
so
Camacho's is right on the front row over here.
Right.
And there's another place further into town. There is.
I wouldn't plan on that gas though, Cam.
Yeah, I know.
Maybe there, but I wouldn't plan on it.
I'm telling them it's there for pre-run, but again, you can't guarantee it.
It's pretty good high octane water.
You'll get onto the highway here. There will be a lot of fans in San Juanico. They love to stand there and watch people come around that turn. You're on the highway here to guess what kilometer speed
zone right in the middle of it now.
Yeah, speed zone. Guess what kilometer marker you turn off the highway at? Anybody?
Can't remember.
I'm gonna go with 16.
Thank you.
16.
Kilometer 16. There are some chunks out of the highway still going to that, so when you just be careful about that on the sides, especially. Get off at kilometer 16. This is the old road into San Juanico. This has not seen a tractor, in my guess, in at least a decade. There are some big holes on both sides going into it, like washouts early on, and then there's some rain ruts, and there's, of course, a pretty tricky down left right. As you go across this river, if you're pre-running in the daylight, I call that the ship's bow. You may have seen it in some of our shows. This used to be going straight through there. Now you cannot. This is a kind of a treacherous, tricky little spot. Just make sure you mind yourself going through there. But right there, and the way Fish is pictured, you can see that giant shadow to the left of that big, that's like a 100-foot tall, looks like a ship's bow sticking out. Anyway, that's what I think, but maybe I'm just delirious after being in Baja too much. That's going to take you to the pass just above La Purísima. This section is cobbly. What is it, Reese? Stay tidy?
Yeah, it's stay tidy. Yes.
Explain.
It's just a note that I use for a surface change. If you're, at the start of a long radius corner or a medium radius corner and halfway through it or at the end of it, the surface changes to whatever it's going to be. I always use the word tidy, not to be sliding, and just a little bit of a heads up that grip levels may change.
Nate, what do you think about this pass rolling down to the river valley?
I like it a lot better now than I did 2014 after the hurricanes.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
I think it's fun.
I think we're really fortunate, and it's worth mentioning that there hasn't been a massive damaging hurricane on the peninsula this year, or I think last year. Granted, there could be damage, but not as these roads have been really well taken care of by Baja Sur. This is going to put you into the speed zone. This is highway. What's the highway number? I was going to say it because I'm so smart about it. Go back a little bit.
Highway 53,
is it?
Yeah.
I believe that's correct. It comes out of Insurgentes. I wanted to warn anybody that's going to go in there. There are more potholes on that road than any other road, but there are also a ton of new segments. So don't get fooled that the new segment's going to keep going all the way, because the road's going to deteriorate. The highway does come up from Insurgentes, and it's a little ways up there, but be very careful. You're going to have controlled speed zone. We got about 15 more minutes with Jose G. Any notes on, I wanted to mention that on the left side of the race course, as you go through La Purísima, there is a beautiful LP Lone, 905 feet tall, means on top. This valley is picturesque and beautiful to climb out, spectacular. Jose G, I'm sure you're stoked to have gotten this pass to go through this road right here.
It's one of my favorite spots, actually. Once you go through La Purísima and San Isidro, to see that they still have the aqueduct and all the pumps, and it's just one of those things that time hasn't changed anything. So it's really cool. And like you just said, we were super fortunate that there was a hurricane that was going to hit, and it only got to it went down to a tropical storm. Didn't do any damage. The road from La Purísima over to Highway 1 again, it's in excellent conditions, probably better than I've ever seen it. And so we were more than fortunate, so thank God for that.
I agree with you. That road looks great. Be careful. There's exposure. There's tight corners. There's a cliff section in there. A little bit of a sketchy downhill. This is going to bring you out to what's known as Rosarito. This is a
sportsman cut right here also, huh?
Yes. I really want to clarify this, Jose G. I have to step away for 1 second, but can you explain that they should not be driving against opposing traffic in here? They need to understand this is a sportsman cut.
Yeah, well, it is an access road. It is also the sportsman shortcut. So just be super cautious on that, knowing that sportsman bikes and sportsman vehicles are going to go out in class 11, a few other classes, that they're going to go out to the highway. They're going to stay on the highway for a while. Some of them didn't get it why we did that. Even though we did skip the traditional really bad silt beds. They're right about mile 900, but it's still going to be really soft. It's going to get really challenging and technical to get back to the San Javier highway. So if those guys the sportsmen didn't pre-run it, they should be very thankful that they're not racing on it, because it's going to take forever. It's not a lot of miles, but it'll slow down them. We want them to finish. That's pretty much why we did it. Now, I've been hearing that Class 11s want to cut also the 395 to Chapala. But they don't want to go down the summit and do that new section. So things like that, you guys need to know that it's not us that force them. This one, yes, we force them to do it, but sometimes they get together and they request us to do something special for them. So maybe Class 11s will end up taking the highway from Caravina all the way to Chapala, because they believe that that's going to take a lot of time from them to finish. So yeah, there's now going back to that area around, like I said, around 900. If you were probably the first ones through there. I mean, you could barely see where the course goes, which I believe now it has to be fun, but it's pretty tight and technical, and it's better than it was before going through that ranch with all that silt.
We were probably the first, or one of the first there. Reese was actually driving. I was passengering, and it was hard to find our way. What is that VCP in there? Going back just a little bit, Fish. There's a hard right. No, further back. There's a hard right out of the bush right there. That thing right there.
Yeah.
That was pretty silty already right there in that area.
Yeah.
So that picking your way from that to the back of the ranchos was definitely tough. But when you got to the back of the ranchos, definitely beware. There are some giant holes in there. Do not get in a hurry if you haven't seen it. Make sure you know, right, Reese? There's some big holes in there.
Yeah,
we fixed a really bad one.
Oh, you did?
I think for me, the entire course, that section of maybe 10 miles or so is going to be the most challenging at night to get through, just purely based on how tight and technical it is and how soft the surface is.
Agree.
I marked it at night with the GPS file and got lost 3 times.
Yeah.
It's an adventure for sure, that whole area. But I do agree with you, Jose G, not going through the ranchos and where all that silt developed. I still think there's going to be a possibility of silt, but this is a section that I really liked. It's been added. I think the first time we raced this might have been in 10. I can't remember, but this section up in the back of the mountains here is pretty adventurous. There's a lot of rocks and a lot of interesting characteristics for it. I'm sure that there's plenty of people that have made mistakes out there. You don't want to be one of them because there's not a lot of chase access out there, Jose G.
I think we did it in 2004 also.
Oh, did you? Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
My bad.
Almost sure.
The BCP 195 is where the Sportsman Cut gets back on at, correct?
Correct. That's like the Loreto dump area. And there was a wash out there, but the city's fixing it so that the sportsmen could get off the highway and back to the course safely.
And then, of course, there's a couple of fun hill climbs in there. You're going to come into the backside of Loreto. For those of you pre-running, just before you get to the wash, there is a PMEX on your left-hand side, but you got to come out about half a mile off the race course. Then we're going to get into the wash and head up to San Javier. This is a speed control zone. Big drop-offs on the side. Up here.
The other 37-mile-an-hour zone too.
Yeah, this is the one that made me sleepy last year or in 17. San Javier Mission, worth pointing out. Fish, I know you're in a rush, but it's a beautiful area, nice and slow through there, speed zone. And if you get a chance to check out the mission on your pre-run, I strongly suggest it. It's a beautiful place. Mostly graded roads, some river crossings. I was surprised at how little water there was in there. Yeah. I would guess maybe only 4 to 6 or 7 water crossings, where in the past there's been as many as 40, it seems like.
Yeah, pretty much no water. And what's funny is that, and of course, Baja spectators are really awesome also, but we were so surprised when we were marking the course. We come out at after San Javier, we came out at Maria Auxiliadora, and there were some people there, just super friendly. And then we took off course marking and when we got to the highway there at Lopez Mateos, there was at least 60 people waiting for us to go through. They took pictures with us, and I mean, and they knew we were just course marking. So I can't imagine right now waiting on the racers how things are down there. It's really awesome how they've been waiting for it.
Absolutely. We experienced the same thing where people were posting pictures and we were posting pictures and people were waiting. There was tons of people at the Lopez Mateos road. I did want to mention, after San Javier, before you get to the highway, there are a couple corners in there dropping into the arroyos that aren't exactly the way your brain thinks they're going to work. And there is a couple very dangerous ones with giant rocks on the outside. Reese, you know a little bit about that?
A few years ago in Nor, I decided to check out some of those rocks up close. Thankfully, I checked up enough of my speed where I crawled back out. But those areas, definitely, there's some deceiving rights and then hard lefts, and you just read the trail wrong. And if you're in dust, you're going to end up in boulders that are 6-8 feet round, and your day is done for sure.
Be very careful in there. Getting out. Crossing the highway here near Santo Domingo, be cautious around the farms and the people. That's going to take you out into the sand whoops. It's lovely out there. Some good bumps. How was that in the Raptor, Nate?
Fantastic.
Awesome. That's going to bring you to the Lopez Mateos Road crossing. Expect a lot of people there, of course. Then another section, less bumps, so to speak. And then you'll come across the San Carlos Road, which comes out of the center of Constitution. There is a big whoop section there, and there is a very surprising, if you're going fast, drop away section in those whoops. Be careful. I knew it was coming, and I still scared myself, and I wasn't even going that fast. Just heads up, those whoops are gnarly. Score has done most everybody except for me a favor by making a hard 90 left and heading up into some areas that we've been using on our bike trips. This is different for everybody that's been racing. Jose G, you want to talk about the difference here? Because this is a massive change from what's happened in the past in this area?
Well, we're like I said, we're trying to make it not just different. We wanted to go back to Rancho El Refugio, which is up there, what you're talking about, and just cross the Puerto Cancun dirt road, because the old race course going down to those estuaries and everything is just forever whoops and whoops and whoops and whoops, and it was like 50 miles of just whoops.
Yes,
really
that's what I wanted. That's what I was banking on.
It would beat you up. So yeah, we take care of our smaller classes and bikes by making those changes, and I mean, like the wide open trips, we do them on that road that we're racing on. So yeah, it was just to make it easier for everyone else. Sorry that we're destroying your secret trails, but
he changed that. He changed that after I ran through that section. Just so you know, he made me go down all the
because I wasn't with Nate. I was actually when Nate was down there mapping that. I was signing the agreement, the final agreement with Baja Sur. So I actually skipped the mapping part this time.
This is this newer section bypasses most of what's known as the Constitution whoops. Again, there's a good long gnarly section of whoops when you leave the San Carlos Highway, but then you'll turn off, you get up onto what is a dry lake bed area. We experienced a lot of mud there 2 years ago on the motos. You're also going to miss the mangroves. We won't be racing through the along the salt flats or the inlets there, the mangroves for the most part. You will get here to Santa Rita. It's a highway section, speed control zone. There's access there. Is there a BFG pit here, Nate?
1106.
Yes.
Sorry, I missed a couple spots where the BFG pits are, but I'm pretty sure there's one here. This is where the sun came up on us in 2017, but it'll be different, longer race course, different start time. So don't count on that, trophy truck guys. Takes you down to actually, my buddy told me a story that there's where they were growing or trying to hatch lobster for red lobster down there. There's or something like that, some chain place. There's all these crazy like water pits made out there. You can't see it off from the race course, but it's an interesting.
I think Jose G has to go.
You do?
Yeah. Sorry. I mean, I really have to go. I have a doctor's appointment trying to skip knee surgery. So I have to get my knee.
From here, from Santa Rita, down.
I can't miss my appointment, but I'm, thank you guys for doing this show and everything you do. And Nate's here and you guys can continue on. You're doing a way better job without me. So, really, thank you for that. And I will see you guys soon when you're here in Ensenada.
Thank you, Jose G. Is there anything you want to point out from here south? Anything that's of dire importance that you want to mention? We'll keep covering.
But well, the only thing that I would really want to mention, I always, as you know, we're always in touch with people that are pre-running and knowing what's changing and what's happening. I did hear that right before El Centenario, the last 20 miles, people have changed the arrows. So we're just follow the GPS file. That is correct. So we'll fix that. If someone changed or removed most of the arrows right before El Centenario, it's going to get fixed again. But there's no mistakes, no nothing. So it's just follow the GPS trail, and you'll be good. Okay.
Copy that. Thank you, Jose G, for taking the time. Thank you for making this all happen.
Thank you. See you soon.
Going back, you guys, to where we left the pavement here. End of the speed zone, you zigzag through some sections there with some bush mounds, but then you're going to get on a straight route, but there are some drop away kind of gnarly little sand blows in there, huh, Reese?
Yeah, for sure. They're tough to read. We had some moments where we're laughing through there ourselves.
From there, you're going to get down here to VCP 219, make a left turn. And that's going to take you back up towards the traditional race course. Once you make the right at there's a big cistern there at the corner and on the inside. And this gets onto some of that kind of shaly white rock. It's not super comfortable to race on. It's not like a lot of giant rocks, but there's definitely some little holes and ledges and stuff sticking out in there, Reese.
Yeah, it's it's really, as you mentioned, you covered it well. It's very noticeable pre-running, but there is definitely some square edges there. Tires work really good on pre-running, and I'm sure it'll be great on race day.
For sure. And that's going to take you down to this area. Trying to look and see exactly where we are, somewhere near Santa Fe. This has been traditionally a silty area, if I'm in the right spot. We drove through there with no problem. Nate, you think there's going to be silt developing in there the way you guys have routed it? It seems like you guys have really picked a good way through there between the fences and stuff.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think the bigger concern is probably going to be fog and stuff down there in the mornings as they're coming down through there. But I think the silt's going to be fine through that section.
Copy. Okay, good to know. You'll race along the coast here. You get to Punto Conejo, a little further up, El Conejo. That's the Rabbit Point, left-hand surf break. Then you'll travel further south as you start making your way inland here. There's a controlled speed zone in there. It's on what's a newer highway. There's a small town you go through. Please be very careful going through there. Making your way up. This gets a little bit more technical than people think. There are some more open spots, but there's some very tight technical stuff, especially after that last highway crossing, Reese.
Yeah, I was really surprised. Obviously, I haven't been down through that area for 4 years or more. And I was really surprised how the growth had come into the trail, how narrow the trail was. And it is just constantly, flowing 90 rights, lefts, everything.
For sure. There's a lot of overgrowth. This is where you're starting to get towards the top of La Paz. Take your time, be smart, think about it. It's going to get a little bit more tricky. Where is that last access there? Yeah, somewhere, I think, is it 233 or 232 is the top of the steps? I'm trying to see from here.
Yeah, probably right here.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah.
At 1211, there's a really nasty, that danger 18. That's
go back to that
step.
No, the other way. Oh, that one?
That danger 18. That's a nasty step down at the bottom.
Is that the bottom of it with the whoops to go across and there's a hole there? Yeah, we saw someone hit that, huh, Reese?
Sure, we did. We were right on his butt.
We were doing some camera car filming in there. So again, we'll be releasing the Desert Assassins edit thanks to BFGoodrich and Monster in the next week or so. Coming down the steps, take your time. It's hard to see it how big those ledges are on those drop-offs, but there's definitely a couple tricky ones in there. Some definitely some big whoops. And then again, the danger 18, which Nate is talking about, that's going to take you down to this hard left turn, which gets tight and technical once again. Right when you think you're there, you're not there. That's going to bring you around to the other side where there is what we call starting the dump road. There is a couple of big gotchas in this section right here, the straightaway before you get into the dump road. Be very careful. Big rollers in there. Of course, we can't name and mention all the rollers, but this is where it starts to get to be glory time coming through the dump. Be careful. There will be a lot of fans out there because this is the last non-speed controlled zone on the race. You'll come through the backside. This is the town or the sub part of the city. I can't remember what I was trying to say, but El Centenario. You're going to get on the highway and you're going to start heading in speed control zone at the Tecate 6 there. And it's going to take you past the airport road junction. And then you're going to get to what I call the whale's tail. I was actually recently corrected that it's not. It's a dove's tail.
Yes. It's two doves, two white doves facing each other and kind of crisscrossing. Makes it look like a whale's tail. I just found that out on the last pre-run trip as well.
Yeah, I've been calling it whale's tail forever. You're going to stay left at that junction. This is an iconic landmark for La Paz. If you're pre-running and have time, there is a La Paz sign just to the north of that as well, where you can see the two doves there, or like I say, the whale's tail. Stay to the left at that junction, and that's going to take you in towards the finish line. I don't know exactly where it is. Nate, can you explain how they would find the the finish line? Is it turned
Well,
into
it's
the
the-
hotel like it used to, or?
Yeah, it's the entrance to the Grand Plaza Hotel. It's pretty obvious once you get there.
Copy. And it's a little bit different than how we turned in last time, I think. Or is it same?
I think it's the same as 2017.
Okay. Well, there was like a little short coursey section in there, a little thing. I see where it says end speed zone. Does that mean you can?
Yeah, it looks like it's full speed to the finish through the short course infield here.
So that's an old file, I think.
Oh, okay. So make sure you're paying attention to your files. There was
the end, just so you know, the end speed zone 24 is at the finish line.
Okay, so it's not where we see it there in the file.
That is not, that's an older file. Yep.
This is the file
Okay.
from yesterday, so.
Well, I'm just telling you, it doesn't end right there.
All right.
Copy. So it ends there next to the marina on the hotel property. That will be your 1,227.35, I think is what you said, Nate.
Yes, sir.
If you have friends or family going there, be careful. It's a little chaotic. Watch for the race traffic. Reese, any thoughts on, come to mind as we raced down into La Paz or as we drove down into La Paz?
For me, I think it's just really respecting your environment and the people. Growing up in a small island of New Zealand, having the opportunity to come to the US, we're racing one of the last frontiers, and it's just an incredible opportunity to be able to do a peninsula run like this. Respect it, enjoy it, be safe, be smart, and come home safe.
That's the message we've been trying to preach the whole time. Safety is job number one. Reese, Nate, you have thoughts as we race down to La Paz or come down the mountain there? Anything you want to share comes to mind?
No, I'll just echo, I think what Scott said at the very beginning of the show of the race trucks are probably the safest vehicles out there. Just a shout out to all the chase teams, anybody driving down the highways and on the chase roads. A good race is when everybody gets out safe, and that includes the support team. So no race is worth it. I think, Cam, you said it. It's just a race. It's not worth a life. So just please be careful.
Yep. And, no matter how much you try to plan, safety is job one. We lost a friend on the highway in 2007. God bless Fred Riva. It's happened to people. Just try not to let it happen this time. Let's try to everybody be safe and get down there. I'm willing to take some questions. Reese, you have a couple minutes, and Nate, you have a couple minutes if there's any questions out there. I know I have a question from Joe Lloyd at JCR Speed Shop. I'll pose it to maybe Reese or Nate if you guys have a question. He has maybe an Ironman rider who can't pre-run the entire course. He's asking, is there sections that they should focus on for pre-running? Is there something you think they should really go see over other stuff, which I find hard to answer because racing blind in any way seems really wild and crazy to me. But I understand that it's not always possible for people to pre-run the whole course, especially the Ironman. But anything really strike you? I think from a car standpoint, if I was racing that first section at Fred's Tractor Trail, I'd want to make sure I saw that, since there's never been a race hasn't been a race gone through there as far as I know. But what, you guys have any thoughts on a couple segments that would really stick out in your mind?
Go ahead, Reese.
For myself, it's a little difficult to answer the question for a bike rider based on what notation systems they're using and so forth. But if that is what is presented to you, I would look at some sort of satellite image of the course and making notes. I have sat 6-7 hours plus over my section 1 or 2 times looking at areas that will help me pre-run when I get down there. And obviously in the situation of a single pass during the race, as we have just talked for the last couple of hours, there's lots of areas, blind crests, and they lead into massive boulders. I've had friends pass away at Pikes Peak in similar situations, and you just need to make sure that, if you can't do it, don't be running 10 tenths, don't be running 8 tenths, but if you can, use something like a satellite image to give yourself some notes and safety precautions on your files.
And one thing I think you'll need to note, I think Nate can speak to this, is the GPS file that Reese is talking about. It is an actual driven course in probably most sections. Maybe some of it's drawn in, I'm not sure. But Nate, it's not always a perfect science either. Just because it looks straight doesn't mean it's straight, because the satellites are having to pick up the breadcrumbs as you drop them. And there is no perfect line. So you have to race what you see, not just race what's on the GPS.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's always our challenge when we're mapping of even putting down mileage, because a GPS line's a flat line, right? It's not capturing all the elevation and where you get your mileage from when you're determining your fuel mileage and how far your car can go on fuel. You should always err on the side of safety, right? Make sure you're short enough to be able to get the fuel. I do want to clarify real quick, Cam, because I said it, I think at the beginning, 1227.35, it's 1226. So 1226.35. And that's the end speed zone finish line. So not the 1227. I apologize for that.
Okay, so it's 1226 and change.
1226.35.
Okay.
One question.
I've been saying if you get to 1227, you're probably okay.
Yes, you'll be fine.
We did have one question a couple of people asked. What do you guys think as far as the average speed, and what is the winning vehicle time going to be? What is your guess? I guess you could just answer the time and that would figure out the speed. But what are you guys thinking?
I haven't calculated out every segment, so I'm not exactly positive, and our calculations will change a little bit from what we've known in the past because of the 60-mile-an-hour zones. But if I had to be pressed, I could give a guess, but I don't anybody hold me to it, of course. Let me see.
What's yours, Nate? You look like you got it written down.
I have a couple guesses, but I think it's going to be fast. I'm gonna guess between 55 and 57 miles an hour for the leader.
So what time would that be?
It's
20
about
hours?
Race
21.
time or La Paz time?
No,
Because
race time. Total.
now you're gonna start getting technical.
The total race time.
I think it's so I don't have my calculator with me, but I think it's gonna be around probably between 8 and 8:30 race time.
So when you say race time, are we all operating off of Northern Baja Pacific Standard?
I was just talking about the total time in the race. Is it going to take you what's the winner going to be? 17 hours, 18 hours, 19 hours, 20 hours? What do you think on that time?
Closer to 22.
22. Okay. So now we're talking, we're getting some times.
I think that I haven't done my projections, so no one hold me to it, but I think the winning trophy truck, I really agree with Nate. I thought it was kind of funny that he said between 55 and 57 miles an hour, because I figured here on my calculator at 56, which is exactly between what he was saying as I was typing it out. But it's nearly impossible to calculate without going back and looking at each section and trying to time it out. But I do agree that we have been seeing some slower miles per hour because of the speed zones. And I think now that the speed zones are going to be, more of them will be at 60, not all. Be sure you pay attention and know where you are. I think that's going to change the average speed. Reese, do you have just a gut feeling on what a winning trophy truck or class one or bike? I guess let's just stick to the four wheels since we're not bike guys. Gut feeling on what you think the average speed would be?
Yeah, I was saying 56 to 58 when I was down there. You know, you've got the upper section is quite technical, but then once you get down past check 2, there's a couple of areas that they're tight, but it opens wide up down south. It is super fast for a long time.
For sure. I think that you know, there are some people that probably have figured it out already, but like I said, we have not. I've been kind of waiting to do all my calcs until the second pre-run time through. I've only pre-ran it one time. And I think that once the course comes in a little bit, after people have been driving it for a week or so, we'll get a little bit better idea on degradation, but also in some cases, it might make it a little easier to follow and see specifically like that Loretto section that we were talking about. So anyway, I haven't done the calcs, but just a round guess, we're all kind of in that same zone. Reese was a little faster than the rest of us, so try not to catch me, Reese, if you get in behind me. But yeah, I think it's going to be, what was the winning time last time? Yeah, but there, Fish, you come on.
I think it was around 20 hours. I'm going with 20 hours.
I think it was around that as well.
Yeah, the mileage was shorter.
Yeah, it was only 1150, right? Or something like that, 1140 something.
Yeah.
So it's quite a bit longer, but I was just wondering what the average speed was to win last time we did the Peninsula run. I know it was Opdali and Juan Carlos were the winning truck. We were second by a bit. Just curious.
Abdali Lopez did it in 19 hours and 53 minutes.
Okay.
That was a higher average. I believe is like a 57-ish.
Yeah.
Is it? Okay. So you think it's going to be faster this time or that time? Now we're getting some better data here.
No, I still think it's going to be between 55 and 57. So I'm banking around a 22-hour long race, give or take a little bit around that.
Yeah, copy. That's we're talking the overall winner.
The overall, yeah.
Unlimited vehicle.
I think you have to average 24 mile an hour to finish the race on time. Is what score posted in their racer brief. So slowest time would be that for a finisher.
The trucks did beat the bikes by over an hour last time in 2017.
Yeah, I think the faster the course, the more advantage the trucks will have for the overall because they can carry so much more speed. Reese, you mentioned earlier coming from a small island in New Zealand, obviously. It's quite an experience to come here and race. Any notes you feel like you could give people or thoughts as they come into it? I think, one of the big keys that we've been preaching, obviously safety, the fact that there's very little cell service. We need to pay attention to the weatherman and how to reach out to him. But any other thoughts, coming in, how epic it is, the cactus. I mean, you've been living here in the States, obviously, most of your life. So it's not like you just came here, but any thoughts?
Yeah, it's still for me, when we did the pre-run, it's still incredible that the areas that you get to drive through, the scenery you get to cast your eyes on is just absolutely amazing. But yes, you have two types of people kind of doing this race. You have those that are professionals or representing sponsors and brands, and they're there to perform for their own credits on what they want to get out of themselves or what they're trying to do representing others. And then you have the bucket list guys. And I guess for those guys, enjoy the adventure, soak up every mile, and get to the finish. The more miles you get, the more experience you get, the faster you're going to be next time.
That's a good point. You can't win if you don't finish. That's something that I always say. I know it's cliche, but it's a long day. You just heard Nate from BFG, who's an expert on the course, saying that he's saying it's going to be around a 22-hour race. I was kind of in that same time frame as was Reese. That's for the unlimited cars.
Actually, you know what? Peter Calhoun just chimed in. He said that 2014 was 1275 for mileage, and the winner was 2231. So that's probably a little closer.
We were third that year.
So yeah.
Hey Tim,
do I sound bitter? Do I sound bitter at all?
Yeah, a little bit bitter.
You were second
I don't know.
in 2017.
Yeah.
I don't know how it was when you were down there pre-running, Cam, but I know when I was down there was a lot of cattle, horses, even alongside the highway, because it just rained and a lot of the cattle were coming out to the sides of the highway, even crossing roads. So again, when you talked about the pre-running, what sections you should pre-run, even if you do pre-run a section, you never know where the cattle are going to be. You never know where the spectators or that, that rancher driving on the road. And I know we probably beat a dead horse. Well, that's probably a bad analogy on that one, but just being careful when you're down there for sure. And watch out for the cattle, the spectators. There's so many variables to this open racing, if you will, down there in Baja. So I hope everybody has a safe, clean race. Hopefully everybody's back home with their families or with their Baja family down on the peninsula for Thanksgiving, and all the support gets out safely. So I can't thank the BFG relay and BFG pit course workers that we have, crew guys, enough. They're awesome. And I know, Cam, in fact, you were very adamant when you won the Baja 1000 that Cameron Steele wasn't the one who won the Baja 1000. It was his team. So I think we can all say that.
Yeah, I think real quick note, most people may not realize it, but we don't even have our names on our race trucks because it's a team effort. No singular names on the door of the truck. So that's, if you ever wondered why it doesn't say Cameron Steele on the door of my truck, that's why, because it's a team effort, and that takes a lot of people. I won't say exactly how many people we have going, but it's a lot, and it's a huge effort. And really, it comes down to Baja, in my opinion. And Baja decides who wins. You got to present a great effort, and Baja is going to make her case before the end of the race. She's gonna reveal. So, thanks so much, Nate. I really appreciate your time and effort. Reese Millen, a legend in mini motorsports. I'm stoked to have you as part of our team. It's been a great experience. I promise you guys that you're going to want to watch this video from the Desert Assassins that BFGoodrich and Monster and our other partners are putting together to preview or have an overview. It's not a course pre-run per se. It's not giving you all the data, but it will hit some of the hot spots. But you're also going to get to see the great car control of Reese Millen and Bobby's Decoy. And I'll be the slow guy cruising around, not sliding the corners because I'm a dork. But that's just part of it.
Did the part where my A-arm lift the truck, did that make it into the cut?
Well, did you notice that I took off and went to the bathroom when that part came up? Because I didn't want to completely slay you on that. But yeah, your A-arm coming out of the truck wasn't helpful. But we did have fun. From that point on, from about race mile 890 to the finish, Reese and I shared a pre-runner, and I actually made him ride with me for a little bit. He hated it, but at least he pretended he hated it.
I'm still pulling cactus out of my arm.
Yeah, I was giving him a hard time for driving on the right side and being up on the berm. And then right when I got in the car, I blasted a cactus right into him. So he was pretty stoked on that. I was trying to teach him a lesson. That will remind him to keep the navigator side out of the bushes. Thanks again, though, Reese, for the effort. Fish, thank you for giving us. Go ahead.
One other thing, just again, if you guys are part of that support team that's going down here and you're in the chase trucks, specifically at night, if you guys are in the chase truck and you feel like your driver is getting a little sleepy, say something. I know a lot of times these guys go down and they might be new to the team or they don't really know the team and they don't want to speak up because they don't want to be that guy in the chase truck. We don't care this race. Nobody cares. If your driver is getting sleepy and you're not comfortable in that chase truck, say something, swap them out, pull over and switch drivers. Cause I don't know how many times I have done that myself and it might've saved an accident. You never know. This race, everybody's up all night. Nobody wants to be the guy that is first to go to sleep, cause then whatever, just be safe this time, everybody, please, please, please. Cause it's not only you in the chase truck, it's the people on the road coming the other way in the other car too. And at night, the cattle, make sure, what we always do in the chase trucks, we got two guys up front. They're both awake. The guy on the right is looking for cows all night. Is just looking on the sides of the road because the driver's looking at the road, have the co-driver scanning the sides and just call it out. Cow on the right, cow on the right, cow on the left, whatever. I really do think it helps a lot. So I just wanted to make that suggestion and, big thanks to Nate and everything that BFG does. And Reese, you're a GC. So thanks for coming on the show and appreciate the info.
Yeah, for sure. Go ahead, Reese.
No, that's it. Cherry popped.
It's remember that if you think you can get to that section, you might not be able to. One of the things we didn't talk about is how gnarly the pass is after San Ignacio headed down to the Cia Cortez. That's an absolutely gnarly part of Highway 1. And you don't want to be trying to hurry from San Ignacio to beat the car to Loreto. That Loreto North, you cannot do that. I suggest everybody, sleeping along the way, don't go the whole way, be smart and really make sure you reel it back. Don't try to have one person driving that peninsula or even two people. Like I say, get some sleep, get some rest, and have another part of your team handling the bottom part or whatever part of it is. Safety first, safety always. All right. That's going to do it. Fish, thanks for giving us the platform. I know it got a little serious, but we did cover a lot of good information here. Hopefully people are stoked. And we did run a little bit long, 27 minutes, but I get paid by the minute. So it's all good with me.
That's why I was trying to hurry up.
All right, you guys. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Fishgistics, Baja 1000 preview. We'll be back with you. The night of the race or day of the race, Fish will be doing hourly updates. Correct, Fish?
Yep. Every hour on the hour after the start of the race, and all night, all day until at least the trophy truck's finished. And then if it's exciting, we'll keep it going for a couple more hours.
Yep. So we, even those of us in the race, if we have cell service, we're watching the Fishgistics updates because that's the best place to get the data and the information. So thanks for the effort, Fish. Thanks for staying up late. Thanks for tracking our cars on your tracking service also, which he also offers to a limited number of people on a pay to play. Oh, you don't do that anymore?
It's full.
Oh, it's full. Sorry. All right, guys. Have a great day. Be safe. Baja 1000. If you have any questions, send them to Fishgistics. Send them to Nate or Reese, Millen Racing, or Desert Assassins. We'll try to answer.
Send to Cameron.
Huh?
All the complaints, send to Cameron.
Yeah, send the complaints to me. No problem. Send all the questions to Fishgistics or Desert Assassins, whatever. We'll try to answer them if we can. Have a great day. God bless. Be safe and have a fun Baja 1000, everybody.